Okay, yes, we are now good. We're dialed in. There we go. Took a second, but we're set. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, whether you're watching live or watching this back. Appreciate you very much in being here. Sorry, the echo. Boom. Maybe looking different. I usually don't wear my glasses. I usually am a contacts guy. I wear my glasses at night. But it was a crazy weekend for me, and it's just been busy. And then haven't shaved yet, so I got a little stash going on too. Don't mind that. But here we are, guys. What a fucking day. Excuse my French, but so much to talk about, so much to unpack. We have stock market glitches. We have GameStop making a huge move. We have the return of deep fucking values, YOLO updates, right? We haven't had one of these in a long time. So much to unpack here, guys. Really so much to unpack. And then I have a lot of different takes pulled up of about what people think happened today, or like some thoughts on Roaring Kitty, because obviously it's a hot topic of discussion once more. Given that a little news out of GameStop here, nothing too crazy, but so much to talk about, guys. So much to talk about with GameStop, and then the glitches, right? And supposedly a lot of swaps were due. A lot of swaps were due to expire today, in particular. There's people saying it's because of the CAT system. Other people saying it's because of the swaps. People are saying it's just a straight up glitch. But facts of the matter are that there was a I think it was 2 hour period of time where Berkshire Hathaway A was down 99.97%. And I'm so curious. Is Warren Buffett going to comment on this in any shape or form? And if he does, I don't expect him to say like, yeah, this where some shady shit happened. Like, he's not going to say something like that. He's going to say something like, our markets, this is extremely concerning, or we're not sure why this happened, we're looking into it, right? Anything like that. But I'm just curious, like, is he going to comment in any shape or form? So definitely curious. We'll have to find out, I guess. But hoping we'll keep it going up every day. Namac, thank you for being here. Michael, let's roll. GameStop tidal wave. Hey, I mean, look at this chart. Look at this daily. Boom. Crazy. And this is so reminiscent of what we saw in 2021. If you go back, you gotta do the 1 year chart. Like, look at this. Doesn't this kind of look like right about here? Right? It's something somewhat similar. Obviously, the candle's a little bit different, but relatively similar. So it's pretty crazy. And of course, there's so many takes to go over, right? But you have people saying like, "Oh, look what Roaring Kitty's doing. He's manipulating the markets." Like, all he did was post his position. How is that not allowed? Like, look at what these other like institutions do. Like, Bill Ackman will go on CNBC, and a Mitt's take on it here. Like, Bill Ackman will go on CNBC just talking their book while making moves behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Roaring Kitty just posts his stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, like he's manipulating the markets." It's the nonsense. It really is nonsense, because you really think suddenly this morning in the pre-market, like, do you think this candle was all retail in one heartbeat? Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? Like, make it make sense. And obviously, anyone that bought in the pre-market got burned for today at least. Obviously, the week's far from over, the month's far from over, and time until his calls expire. There's a lot of time till then, but so many takes out there, right? And everyone's suddenly an expert. And let me be clear, I'm not saying I'm an expert, right? Just because I've been talking about GameStop and following it for a long time. But suddenly everyone's an expert on market mechanics and what's going on with GameStop whenever it starts trending again, right? And that's just the nature of the internet. Everyone's always going to have their opinion, and that's what the internet allows, right? Everyone to put their opinion out there, but that's just the way she goes. Dr. McLovin, third, thank you for being here. Appreciate you popping out. Yo, let's go. 420 Bong Smoke. What up, what up? Thanks for being here. Good evening, Apes. No name. Thanks for being here. Should be sleeping, but F that. Hey, Tetron. Giga. Appreciate you spending spending the time with me instead of sleeping. I mean, sleep is important, though, so don't stay too long if you got to do something the next day. But hey, appreciate you being here. Because I can. What's up, what's up? Yeah, what a time. Like, there's so much to talk about. Like, I knew I was going to stream today, but just the weekend was crazy for me. Like, I had my girlfriend's, like, family member had a surgery, and I was supporting them and everything, and also just a lot of stuff in my family, but just so much, going on outside of the YouTube world, the stock world for me. So yeah, also, I don't know if I know I did mention it, but I don't know if I mentioned it on the last stream. Like, I'm still dealing with a bad ankle too. On top of it all, went to the doctor, no fracture, but I got this ankle brace. So I mean, I have it off right now. I'm just sitting. When I walk around a lot, I got to wear it. So that's annoying on top of everything else. But just hanging in there, right? Just like that meme of the cat hanging in the back. Just hang in there, right? And I put out a lot of stuff on my Twitter. If you guys don't already, follow me on there at Touch on Invest, X, whatever you want to call it these days, and kind of putting out throughout the day what I think. Like, this video is funny. Just them trying to explain the mainstream media or report on what's happening at GameStop. It's like, he posted this guy, whatever his name is, they posted a video, all right, not a video, an image of a guy sitting up, and now he posted Uno reverse card. What does it mean, right? Like, it's truly comical. And then you have all this talk, oh, he's manipulating markets, blah, blah, blah. And what does this guy do? He posts another YOLO update today. And by the way, notice it's in Super Stunk and not Wall Street Bets, because Wall Street Bets is like, no more GameStop. It starts trending again. Oh, GameStop, we're going to tweet all about it and talk all about it, and suddenly you're allowed to talk about it. But all this time, no, you weren't allowed to talk about it in Wall Street Bets. We're banning it, right? And now they're all salty. Oh, why isn't he posting it in our subreddit? Why do you think, right? Like, it's pretty self-explanatory. But look at this, man. Diamond balls. Like, seriously. This is actually an insane position. He has 5 million shares, and then he has 120,000 call contracts. Like, I gotta be honest, I'm very shocked that he used the will, right? Because how did he get all this money? I guess he's been trading and making moves behind the scenes, these last several years. I mean, there's lots of stocks that have gone up, right? Who's to say he wasn't making moves on Nvidia or something like that? Like, he was never originally like a pure GameStop guy. Like, yes, he did have the GameStop YOLO, but he did talk about like markets in general, and you'd have to think this capital is coming from somewhere. And Citron is a horrible take. Like, he's backed by somebody's funding him. And now you have E-Trade trying to say, like, see, there's so much talk about, guys. E-Trade's trying to say, we're gonna resign as custodian. Market manipulation might be going on here. Like, give me a fucking break. And then sources familiar with the matter, right, have said, oh, well, we saw trades going in prior to this, right? And it's concerning. Who are these sources? Tell me who these sources are, right? Of course, they're going to have no names, no identity, mysterious sources, right? It's so credible. And then what I find the most ironic, and a couple people have said this, I'm not the first to say it, but right now, right, when GameStop's going up, like, look at these media headlines. It just makes me laugh. And damn, I didn't realize we have pretty good price action after hours here. We're moving up a bit. I mean, far from the opening tomorrow. So, who's Roaring Kitty, the man driving GameStop stock up again? E-Trade considers kicking meme stock leader Keith Gill off platform. GameStop shares surge as Gill's Reddit return shows huge bet. Roaring Kitty posts stake again. He made a killing on GameStop. Market close, short seller, market domination over time. Blah, blah, blah. Mole's key meme trader after revealing $181 million GME position. Crazy. I think if GameStop goes to $70 a share, he's literally a billionaire. Fucking insane. Actually insane, right? But what's truly comical, right? This is truly hilarious. And look at this volume, 163 million shares. When GameStop's going down, the bulls are sharing their thesis, such as myself, and what we believe to be going on. And, everyone's got their opinion, and that's just the way she goes, right? But, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're making up all these ideas. You're pure speculation. You're just connecting these dots, right? Oh, you're so stupid, so stupid, so stupid. But when GameStop's going up now, oh, well, clearly his account is bought. Clearly there's someone financially backing him. And then the way the GME meltdowners are validating, oh, well, it's this, it's that. It's because of this, this, and that. It's so ironic because now they're the ones going out on a limb in such an excessive way. Meanwhile, they're pointing the finger at GameStop long-term shareholders this whole time saying, oh, well, you're speculating. That's so bad, right? And to me, obviously I'm biased, right, because I'm long GameStop. But it really seemed like people would say, okay, well, this is speculation. Like, this is why I see this. And of course, there's, some extreme people in the group of GameStop investors, I would say, that are like, oh, Ryan Cohen posted this, which means this, Teddy, this, that, right? There's all kinds of ideas like that. So don't get me wrong. There's extremes on both sides. But isn't it funny how right now there's so many people so sure, oh, well, Ron Kitty's being backed by someone. Oh, he's clearly screwing over people, right? It's so obvious. And they just come out of these ideas out of left field. But those are the same people that for years have been saying, you're such an idiot for being long in GameStop and theorizing about how things could change and flip bullish. What is wrong with you? And now suddenly they're like, oh, yeah, well, obviously, right? It's copium. It's really copium. That's just what they call it, and that's what it is. So, Dave's Perk, thanks for being here. GB, GME, sure. I like the cat, I like the stock, and I like this video. Aerith, thank you for being here. Appreciate you popping in for the stream. Why didn't DFV broadcast his play? They screwed him big time if they deleted his options plays. Hopefully there's a contingency deal with E-Trade and their BS. Yeah, Coffee Donuts Homer, thank you for being here. So in working in the financial industry, usually, there's some kind of notice they would give him, like, I guess, like, depending on the disclosures, they probably do reserve the right to just immediately distribute him, but they can't just. I mean, maybe they can, right? Maybe they can. I guess we'd have to look at like the specifics of E-Trade's like disclosures that you sign off, but I don't think they could just sell all the positions, right? And even if that did happen, right? Let's theorize that for a second. And I just realized I also got to tweet out the stream. If they went ahead and decided like, oh yeah, we're gonna go ahead and liquidate the GameStop position for him, right? Because we don't want to be his broker anymore. Is that not market manipulation in just forcing a sell that's so massive and would clearly hurt the stock rate if they theoretically made him liquidate everything like that tomorrow at the open? Obviously, that would hurt the price very much. And then to me, that would be market manipulation, right? It's crazy. And then also, you know, people can go on CNBC, tout their position, and then or say a certain thing and then be doing another thing behind the scenes. But this guy is transparently posting his position, and oh, it's so bad. He's moving the stock. OMG, and it's like all he's doing is posting. He's literally just a regular guy, right? Like it's crazy. It's actually crazy. And then we got to get into the Berkshire halts and some of these takes. Mostly I got the good ones, and I love this meme I just found recently, but. Live now on YouTube, talking GME, or say GameStop, Berkshire, glitch, Hathaway, glitch, and war. I don't know, guys. Does anyone give me some insight on this if you have it? Throw it in the chat. Is it better to put GME with the $ or GME with the hashtag? I never truly know, honestly. I feel like hashtag has been getting to more people. I always use the $ for the longest time, but I don't know. Maybe it's better to do none of them. I'm really not even sure these days. The arrow. Down. Boom. All right. Appreciate your patience there. And then I don't know if you guys saw this little write-up. Forget GameStop, forget GameStop, forget GameStop, right? And shout out to Kan, aka Marky Watch, like Donkey Dong, for this image. That's where I got it. Forget GameStop. We've all seen it time and time again. Endless headlines of forget GameStop. Buy this instead. And my personal favorite. Forget GameStop. Here's how to make hay with U.S. farmland. Like, think about how ridiculous of a headline that is. It's truly comical. While the critics continue to bash GME, they fail to realize the unique aspects of the GameStop story. A company that was once destined for bankruptcy has been able to shift to be net profitable and build a strong balance sheet. Beyond that, many individuals have learned a lot about investing as a whole and stock market mechanics through their journey of holding GameStop stock. With a strong cash position of $2 billion and a company investment policy in place, there are lots of possibilities for how GameStop can evolve. Of course, successful execution is crucial. Definitely can't argue with that, right? But I ultimately believe the management team has the capability to lead the company to great success on a long-term basis. Bears will continue to bet against the company, and that's okay. So be it. And if you shorted on Friday, you wouldn't be doing so hot right now, right? What's truly comical is the level of commitment some people have to hating the company. Someone who takes the time to leave negative comments online is likely dealing with their own insecurities. It's true. I genuinely feel bad for the people like this and hope they overcome whatever it is that's troubling their life. Troll the bears a little bit, right? And that's not to say every bear. Some are just like, I disagree. That's okay. But it's the people that are like my buddy down here, right? Always do your own research, make your own decisions, never stop learning and improving. I really believe in that. Let's see. And then this person tried to say, I don't know who this guy is. Basically, oh, it's the same for AMC, but like AMC's not fixed their balance sheet or got back profitability. Also, management cares about adding to their own pockets too much. Shareholders have been brutally diluted. I go to reply, and this man blocks me. But this is my favorite, guys. I'm sure you've seen him. Snig NFTs. You left out the part on the Reddit when it was set to decline 20% year over year. That's just, he just regurgitates the same thing, and this guy doesn't realize it, but he's genuinely helping me because every time he comments, it boosts me in the Twitter or X algo. So I'm truly blessed, honestly, that he wants to keep spending the time on my page. And it's like, what is bothering this guy that he has nothing better to do than consistently comment on my page? I don't know, but in a way, I'm thankful because, again, all it does is promote me in terms of the algorithm. But beyond that, I put out a lot of stuff today, and I was just reacting to this. Got the stream schedule out. So this is E-Trade, a source close to me sent me this picture from the E-Trade boardroom about considering kicking off Roaring Kitty, aka Keith Gill, off the platform for being a diamond balled or diamond hand investor. That's what the source sent me, right? That's just what the boardroom looked like. But that's why I love AI, guys. It's so funny, the stuff you can do. I'm like, create a board member, a boardroom full of clowns, and this is what it gives me. And yeah, they're saying, oh, market manipulations. He didn't sell anything. And really, I want to get into, well, I guess we'll go through all the different takes I was reading today, and then we'll get into the Berkshire stuff, right? Which put over here. And then quick news out of GameStop. We're excited to announce that we partnered with GameStop as exclusive retail partner for holiday 2024. Keep your eyes open on our socials. More to come. You don't want to miss it. And this is Mod Retro is dedicated to creating timeless, high-quality electronic devices that rekindle cherished memories. So I don't know too much about them. I only briefly saw this, so I want to bring it up. When I get more info, I'll definitely let you guys know. But see, this is a handheld game console designed with modern tech, with retro soul, compatible with all classic Game Boy Color cartridges. First edition handhelds are available for pre-order. Pretty cool. Bundled with Tetris and Chromatic in the box. So, well, let's see what comes of this, right? But it seems like it's going to be some kind of GameStop exclusive. So if anyone wants this particular product, they're going to have to buy it at GameStop, it appears, based on this post here, exclusive retail partner. So that's definitely exciting to see. I'm going to definitely have to look into it more. I've been watching Tetris World Records being destroyed lately, so fun. Tetron, kind of like Tetris. So, oh, look at this. They got more here. And it looks pretty cool. All right, again, I got to see more in regards to what it is. So I'll put it back here so I remember to look at it later. But again, appreciate you guys being here so much, whether watching it live, watching it back, all just documenting the journey here and just sharing my thoughts and how I see things going on. And you can always disagree. Literally, it's always fun to disagree. I really don't mind. I can live with it. So, we had this drop off at the end of the day, and GameStop's pretty much made up all the ground from that. Really, towards the end of the day, we were floating between the high 28 to 30s, and that's actually where we were prior to them issuing shares. So, where did they finish the share issuance? So obviously the stock was declining and it seemed like it was kind of holding up in the 2030s level. And then this was when they announced they're about to issue shares. It came way down, but then it held that level pretty well, right? Post share offering, we had a little jump up, and then pretty much a sideways week. And then boom, Monday morning we had this jump. And again, it's holding 20 or 30 right now. So that's kind of what it would have been, I feel like, had the share issuance not happened. But again, that helped their balance sheet at the end of the day. They have $2 billion in cash. They have about $5.75 per share, adjusted in terms of like the shares outstanding now and the amount of cash they have. It's roughly $5.75 per share in cash equivalents, marketable securities. So that's definitely, interesting to see. And what's to be done with that is to be seen, right? I couldn't tell you. I don't think anyone can particularly tell you. There's all these ideas thrown out there: Bitcoin, gold, other stocks, small companies, acquisitions, right? And the truth is, we won't know until GameStop says it. If GameStop doesn't say it, you shouldn't believe it. I think that's something I've tried to be consistent with, and something I've learned over time. That if the company itself is not saying it, how can you truly believe it, right? Especially given the amount of speculation we've seen come and go. And also, remember, the UBS 4chan leak or whatever? Well, it wasn't part of that these call options were UBS in some shape or form. But it turns out it was Roaring Kitty, right? So is that debunked? I don't know. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts on that. Gotta remember to hydrate, guys. Gotta remember to hydrate. Sometimes be yapping too much for real. Hey, let's go. We have everyone in the chat. Covered calls would have made him approximately 3 million per week. Days, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe he was doing that the whole time. Although I don't know. And why would he just go longer calls now after selling covered calls? But each trade's trapped in the saga. Buckle up. That's right. No cover calls GME. Remember what happened to Zion Line? GME is for me. I'm John Lacey. Thanks for being here. It is for me too. It's easy money until you lose all your shares. It's true, Coffee. It's very true. Let's fucking go. Fitzy, thank you for being here. Appreciate you popping in, man. Hope you're doing well. GameShare stop away. It wasn't a joke. Yeah, it's so funny. I think maybe Badass Trader posted it. Like, basically like switching like the Indiana Jones scene where he like switches the artifact and it's like Berkshire and GameStop. And that's kind of what it felt like today for a second. It's crazy. Roaring Kitty didn't make 1 billion synthetic shares. It's true. Morgan Stanley did that. You will own nothing and be happy. These market makers are corrupt. You're not wrong because they can. You're not wrong. What would happen if he sold all his shares? Even as a retail investor, I think anyone who owns more than 5% of the company has to follow. Or Roaring Kitty, I mean. Listen, John, I don't think, one, that he's going to do that at this particular time. We know for sure he didn't, given that he posted this. I mean, obviously, if he sold a large amount, it's going to dramatically move the stock. I think the bigger question is, like, what is he going to do with these call options? Because if he chooses to exercise, right, remember, every call option is the right to buy 100 shares. So he has 29 million in cash, and if he wants to buy, like if he exercises all these contracts, right? He would be spending, he'd be buying 120,000 times 100, right? He'd be buying another 12 million shares if he exercised these contracts, which would be truly insane in the best way possible, right? Because if he exercises, he would have another 12 million shares and he would have 17 million shares. And at that point, I think, isn't that literally more than Ryan Cohen? I don't know off the top of my head here, right? But it's an insane number. Already 5 million is such a large portion, right? Because if you consider like approximately like 350 million outstanding. Well, yeah, oh, wait a minute. No cooperation. So it's already like 1.4, but he, like, if you consider the call options too, like, consider that he would then own, so he would own 12 million shares plus the 5 million. So 17 by 350, like, that's crazy. He owns almost 5% of the stock. So yeah, not as much Ryan Cohen. That was totally off there, but he has more than most institutions if he exercises. And does he have enough cash, right? Because he'd be having the right, right? Because a call is the option to buy at a predetermined price point. So if he does exercise, that would mean, he's spending $20 a share times 12 million shares. He'd have to spend 240. So I don't know. I mean, you have to add a lot of cash in order to do that, right? And it's, wait, no, am I doing that right? Because it'd be 20, no, it'd be 20 times the contracts. I don't know. So sorry, guys. Sometimes I'm bad on the spot. I'm not perfect. But you see the point. It's huge implications one way or another, right? Oh my God. All right. So I keep messing up. We'll move on from that. But as you can see, huge implications one way or another if it does play out that way. Tetron, Mike 11, climb 51 shares. Let's go, Patrick. Let's go. Thanks for being here. Bought my shares today at varying prices. Hey, Michael, I'm happy for you if that's what you want to do. At 1500 GME. It is. Hey, everyone's got their own position size. Everyone's got, I've been a long. Oh my God. My words just slipping right out of my mind today. I've long tried to spread the idea that you should always do what's best for you and know your own financial situation. Never be in a spot where you're stressed about your investments, because then you're going to have to pull out early if something comes up, right? In some shape or form, whether it be some kind of emergency where you need money or whatever the case. You always want, or even like a good giant fix on your car, right? Like your car is a major problem that you have to fix. Like you never want to be over invested into the market. Like I truly firmly believe that. And if you're with margin, like you got to be so careful with that, right? Because suddenly you can get margin called and things get tough, right? So that's just the way she goes. But exactly, if fixed as a contract, you have a huge sudden movement, which would have devastating domino effect on all these funds in the entire market. No, it's true. Yeah, I'm John Lacey, but that's the thing too. As the price moves up, the market makers start, hedging for the fact that they could be in the money and they could be exercised, so they start to pick up shares, and that might be part of why this movement took place. Ryan Kona is 39 mil. Thank you, Fitzy. I knew it right after I said it. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. It can't be that much, can it? He owns a digital bomb. I mean, that's kind of an extreme way to say it, but sure. Volume is low, and yeah, Rima Libre, sorry. If you look at the amount of volume we had and the fact that, after this initial drop, the price really didn't move too much, which is kind of just bizarre to me how that tends to happen with GameStop. Like this is the 5-minute chart here. Pretty much just trading sideways and tons of volume, right? And it didn't take much volume to make all these moves in the pre-market, although generally speaking, there's less bids and asks in the pre-market. So generally speaking about any company, there's a lot more volatility in pre and post markets for that reason. But for the amount of volume we saw today, the price was relatively flat. And when you see stuff like that and you see what's going on with Berkshire, I really just go back to the idea. It's like, it's all literally just numbers on a screen. It's all, when you realize it's all part of the DTC, it's all just numbers on a screen. It's absolutely crazy. But Tetron, let's go. Wander and Gale, thanks for being here. Hope you're doing well. Bino, thanks for being here. Hope you're doing well as well. Wendy, hello. You could sell 70K and exercise the remaining 50K to have a total of 10 million shares. Thank you, kid. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, not great with on the spot math sometimes, but this guy's a GME elitist. Hey, KK, your words, not mine, but I like your words. Let me say that. Sharon, what up? CNBC comparing how Roaring Kitty's action should be illegal when he's just being fully transparent while they have short sellers on national TV beating up a company for 20 minutes. Pure hypocrisy. Mouvier, thank you for being here. I think you said it very well right there, my friend. And that reminds me, let's get into these takes here that I found that I liked and I kind of wanted to touch on. And then we'll talk about a little bit of what's going on with Berkshire and some of my thoughts on that. So, Domo Capital, an OG in the GameStop movement, I believe they still have some shares. And they're not, as actively talking about it, and it is like a small firm essentially. If you're not familiar with them, this guy Justin featured in the documentary GameStop Rise of the Players, but they do talk about other stuff, but they have never said like, oh, like flipping on GameStop, like what's that guy, Rod Olsman, GMEDD, total flip, right? Oh, Playboy's the next big play. How's Playboy been doing? That's all I'm saying. But where do we lose it? So, and then also, yeah, Citron Clown Purse looks like hurting household investors more than foolish large institutional short sellers. I mean, claiming anyone is financially backing Roaring Kitty. What an idiotic FUD. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's literally what Citron said. Who did this? Oh my God, so funny. But so we'll open them in a new tab. This is what they said, right? We'll start with a bad take. So, what made Keith Gill, aka Kitty, interesting initially was his authenticity. He shared a detailed investment thesis and put his money where his mouth was, which combined with a high short interest in a restless country and boom, investing history. This time it feels different. Now with GME, he posts with a large account and a significant near-term option position, appearing more like manipulation without a solid thesis. Considering the stock is now 2,000% higher than his initial video almost 4 years ago, we believe someone is backing Gill. There's no way he made this size trade alone. His reported finances don't support this trade. Investors will see through this roaring Icarus. Clown take, absolute clown take. And supposedly, right? Supposedly, allegedly, they said, Citron said, oh, they said they were short like a week or two ago. Oh, we already closed that position. Now we're going short again, right? Since it made another jump. Like, I don't know. It just seems odd to me, right? But they're clowns over there. They really are clowns. And it's like, how many times do I teach you this lesson, old man? Right? Like, it's crazy to me. It's crazy. Just a terrible take, in my opinion. Like, who's backing him, right? Like, don't they understand the implications, right? Imagine whining because you don't speak our language. He wasn't talking to you, dumbass. Close your shorts. Accept your losses like a big boy. Or don't and see what happens. It's true. For a fund called Citron Research, you sure sound like you're getting squeezed. If you're interested in following Roaring Kitty's option activity, you can here. Oh, man, I love the comments. I seriously don't like citrons. I'm more of a friend of avocados. I love Roaring Pika. I absolutely love this account. Shout out to Roaring Pika. I'm sure you guys know him, but he's posted so many. It's just like a meme lord. True meme lord, I would say. Absolute legend on here. But Dave Lauer, I think, had a pretty good take. Imagine thinking Roaring Kitty is doing something wrong while Congress trades on non-public information every day, right? When Congress is doing it, this is the SEC. Oh, okay. Roaring Kitty's doing it? That's how it goes, right? That's literally how it goes. Like, it's crazy. The U.S. is insanely corrupt, and these calling for DFV's head are hypocrites. Insiders are trading every day, pumping every day. It's a big club, and we ain't in it. It's true. What's that guy's name? Carlton, right? George Carlton, or I don't know, a comedian. I think also he was. I don't know. He was like before my time, but I've seen it where it's like he basically saying it's a big club, and we ain't in it, and it's true. It's really true, right? If you're part of the club and you're doing this, it's okay, no problemo. You're a regular guy, Roaring Kitty, who's just gained a little fame by not like he never asked us. That's the craziest part too. People say, "Oh, Roaring Kitty, Ryan Cohen, like, oh, they got all this fame." Oh my God. Did they ever either of them ever go looking for this? I think both of them are like obviously in different spots. Like Ryan Cohen running the company and acquiring a massive amount of shares to try and turn it around, and then Roaring Kitty, just a guy posting on YouTube and Reddit. Do you think they ever imagined things would get to this magnitude? I don't think in their wildest dreams or thoughts they ever would have thought things would be the way they are today. So, having said that, like it's comical to me that these takes are taken, and even this guy, like Amit, like I think he's pretty good. I don't know too much about him. I know he used to post with like Tom Nash, and like even you can see in his bio right here, just leaning over him, he's a big Palantir guy. And I think he has pretty good takes, right? And he just says something right here that I agree with. Is it just me or this whole E-Trade potentially removing Roaring Kitty is legitimately insane? Warren Buffett literally got permission from the SEC to not have to disclose the secret stock he was accumulating for 8 months. Roaring Kitty bought a stock, showed his position, and did not tell anyone else to buy GameStop. If anything, people like Bill Ackman have manipulated, I would take the quotes off and say, yes, they did. Stocks much more aggressively by coming out on CNBC and just talking their book while making moves behind the scenes. If a broker could remove an individual trader because they disagree with his trades and can't even prove manipulation, what precedent are we setting? Very valid point. It will only make people want to buy GameStop more as well. And that's true. That part is very true also, right? And Nancy Pelosi trades to her husband off private information, but roaring kitty's the problem. Exactly, right? And that's the thing too. It's not left only the left does it, only the right does it. No. Both sides do it, right? It's just a big clown show, the US political parties, right? It's really just a big clown show, right? It's like red and blue, but really sometimes I like to say it's just a purple party, right? Mix the colors. It's all the same shit. It's all the same nonsense going on both sides of the aisle. That's just the truth of it. And if you're not familiar with this Bill Ackman reference, when the pandemic hit, it's mid-March. Markets are like tanking by like 8% a day. It's the fastest we've ever seen the S&P go down, right? I'll show you what I'm talking about here as I explain this. Bill Ackman goes on CNBC and says, this could get worse. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen, right, during this period right here. Just this huge crash, right? And obviously we came back pretty quick and, the market's done very well since then. But this was the pandemic crash when the news started coming out about it and it started spreading across the world. Everyone's reporting cases, rising amount of cases, hospitalizations, all kinds of, craziness going on and uncertainty. The most uncertain I've ever seen the market in a short period of time. And if you look at the daily chart on this too, the moves were insane. There was 10% moves like both ways for the S&P 500. That's like unheard of, right? To happen like frequently. It's crazy. And with that, right? Like right towards the bottom, like right around here, Bill Ackman goes on CNBC. This is bad. Prepare for the worst. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. I've never seen anything like this. I would be horrified if I was an investor, right? He goes on CNBC. You know what? Because, trades are reported later, right? Later on, right about here, you know what gets disclosed? His firm, Pershing Square. What were they doing during this time? What do you think they were doing? They were buying up all kinds of stocks. They were buying up stocks left and right on the dip. But meanwhile, he's on CNBC saying, this is terrible, this is bad, and you don't think that helped him get into positions lower? I mean, obviously him directly, individually is not affecting the whole market, but if you want to make the argument that Keith Gill is moving the markets by just posting his GameStop position, how the fuck is that allowed, right? Like, how is that allowed if that's the case then? That's why it's comical, and people say, rules for thee, not for me, because that's exactly what he did right here at the S&P. And that's what Dave Lauer not Dave Lauer, Amit is referencing. Like, if anything, people like Bill Ackman have manipulated stocks much more aggressively by coming on CNBC and just talking their book while making moves behind the scenes. Because he was saying one thing and doing another. He wasn't saying, I'm buying the dip. If he did, I would respect that. I'd be like, wow, a lot of people are selling. The market's going down. A lot of people are nervous. He's going on there and being a contrarian and say, listen, I'm buying the dip. Stocks always perform in the long run. If it's a good company, it will come back, right? And there's always going to be short-term uncertainty. He says that. You get the filings. You see, oh, okay. But no, what does he do? Things are bad. Everything is screwed. Oh my God, right? Just adding to the fear, like fear mongering. And then in the meantime, he's buying stocks. But that's okay. That's okay, right? And that's the reality of the world we live in. I don't even know why I get myself upset about it, right? And I'm not the only one saying it. Everybody knows it too. That's the craziest part. Everybody knows it. And, accounts like Amit and even like the Kiyosabi letter, post an update on GameStop showing his position low. He's now up or whatever. Meanwhile, E-Trade may be trying to ban Roaring Kitty soon. The company, which is owned by Morgan Stanley, is reportedly concerned about market manipulation. This comes hours after he bought 60 million of option stocks. Official decision not been made. Primary concern, but yeah, I said what a joke. But basically, these big accounts are reporting on it because you think even they're like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Like, I know that these, like, from their perspective, right? Oh, these GameStop people are crazy, and oh, what the heck? How is GameStop still around? And whatever the case, but I think they're even like, okay, now we're getting crazy here. We're taking things too far. What the heck is going on, right? So, and Peruvian Bull said, so GameStop announces at the market equity offering, and the same week, DFV begins building a massive call wall at $20 on the June 21st expiry. The same day as OPEX, which is the rollover of trillions of dollars of derivatives. This creates massive buying support at 20 because the dealers have to hedge the delta and buy shares in case he exercises. Basically, making the dealers buy a lot of the shares that GameStop releases to raise capital. He's officially the greatest trader of all time, and I believe this is all of the calls that were being bought, right? Remember, it was like every 15 minutes for that period of time, he was buying, buying, buying. And it was over a week and a half span, right? From the 20th to the 31st. And what a truly epic curve in the story, right? Like, I didn't see this coming. I don't think a lot of people did, right? We knew there was this mystery whale. There's a lot of speculation about it. Who is it? The one and fucking only Roaring Kitty. Sorry, I'm cursing so much tonight. I usually try not to, but like I said, I had a long weekend. I was tired, so I drank like 2 cups of coffee this afternoon, knowing I was gonna stream tonight. I'm like, I gotta get fired up, yo. I gotta get fired up. But I love this journey, guys. I'm meeting so many people along the way. Whether I talk to you on X, see you in the chat, like I really appreciate all of you, and like it's so cool meeting so many different people. I get to meet people all over Europe, Canada, different parts of the world. It's truly remarkable. And just talk about a stock I like, right? And that this guy likes, and now they're trying to kick him off E-Trade. Like it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, right? Let's hit the chat again. Let's go. 51 shares, the magic number, right? No, I know 51 shares. It's like that's like I think Moran's thing, right? When he's always like, "Oh yeah, like I only have 51 shares at GameStop or something like that, right?" Keith Gill equal Maverick Hero. Theoretical question: is it possible that liquidity was pulled from Berkshire area to be used to slow down the squeeze on GME in some way? That liquidity could be returned to Berkshire area as if nothing happened. Ebb and flow portfolio. Thank you for being here. I think that's certainly a possibility. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on that in a minute because I think some shape or form, and my oh so humble opinion, right? You can disagree. I'm not saying it's a guarantee I'm right in any way, but I think what happened today with Berkshire absolutely had to do with GameStop, right? And to pull up all these on the screen here, that's Berkshire. Then you also have Barrick Gold, and you had some miscellaneous. I think Chipotle for a second. I thought I saw that Barrick Gold. You also have New Scale Power Corporation, like all these like random names. And I know this is definitely Warren Buffett holding. I'm not sure about this one. Even the Bank of Montreal, right? Like one of the biggest banks in Canada. Like that's crazy. And you see all this, and it's like, how does this happen? How does this happen? I gotta remember to hydrate, guys. Getting so fired up, but yeah, I'm gonna get into my theory about Berkshire in a minute. But let's get to the rest of the chat. Andrew left his back by a corner, lashing out, barely hanging on. Yeah, Michael, I almost wondered, did this man ever actually cover his position? I don't know. I don't know, but I find it hard to believe he shorted it, got out, and re-shorting it again. Right? If he is, sure, go ahead, let him. Green-eyed bandit elixir, green-eyed bandit elixir. Blizzard out confirmed the Wu-Tang album for GME holders. Did they? That's pretty cool. I'm still like speculative that like in what way is that exactly tied to GameStop? And again, I kind of just fall back on the idea of until GameStop says it, it's all speculation. Like I believe that they're legit, but I don't know. Like some people are theorizing like the NFT dividend. Like I just don't know if that's the case, honestly. Like I'm very speculative of that. But again, when GameStop says it, I'll know for sure it's true. And again, nothing against them in any way. I think what they're doing is pretty cool. Hey, fuck, Wu-Tang confirmed? Not yet, but the government treated Roaring Kitty like he's a Julian Assange. C12, thank you for being here. I gotta be honest, I don't know who that is, but I would imagine probably not a good thing. The ghost rumor is that may delete 21st June 21st call options. They might. The ghost, thank you for being here. That would be nuts. If they do that, that to me is bigger market manipulation. To just delete 120,000 call options, which is equivalent to 12 million shares, that should be labeled as market manipulation. It's absolutely crazy, right? It's absolutely ludicrous that that's something being talked about. He should be able to transfer. He really should be able to transfer. If he isn't able to, like that's truly ridiculous. Shorts are shaking right now. It's the same as Morgan Stanley because they can't deliver those effect size. The company helped cause 08. They can help cause another huge event. Groove, thank you for being here. I appreciate you popping in. I've been seeing you more frequently. Always appreciated that, seeing new people on the channel. But yeah, no, I think that's definitely a possibility as to what's going on. Like finding 12 million shares, do you really think they have them? I don't. And I think they would have to go and buy them in the open market, and that's a huge amount of shares to accumulate. Oh my god, so much craziness. This journey has been mind-bending. Giga couldn't have said any better, my friend. Run Kitty sharing his shares shows everyone he's in it and not leaving. This is not going anywhere. Time and pressure. This is a ticking time bomb. Groove, yeah, I think that's exactly right. And that's why he posted again this afternoon. He's like, all right, they want to talk about getting rid of my account and saying I'm doing all this, I'm doing that. I'm going to show I didn't do shit. I just hold. I'm just holding. Still unclear, but they name dropped GME. Yes, sir. Good stuff as always, my friend. Love your channel and X coverage, and also love the laid back format. Groove, thank you so much. Yeah, because I want to keep it real always. Like I never want to come on and say this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. Do this, you're gonna be rich. I just want to talk about what's going on, give you honest takes on it, because I don't think there's a lot of honest reporting on GameStop. Number one, and number two, I'm on my journey. Everyone out there, all of you watching this, are on your own investment journeys, and by you saying things in chat and replying to me on X, I get to learn, and then you guys hopefully can learn some stuff from me. And I think it's a great little thing we got going on here. So I really appreciate, building up this channel. And again, I had such a fucking busy weekend, guys. It's crazy. So exhausted right now, but powering through, because it's just such an exciting time. I'm just so fired up. But now that we went through all those takes and we looked at SPY compared to Bill Ackman and his nonsense at the time, and it looks like GME closed. Let's see what it closed in the after hours, because after hours trading is closing now up 8%. Again, and see, what is this? Why do we always see spikes like this, right? What the heck is this? It's crazy. It doesn't show on here though, right? Let's see. Damn, it's so hot by me. I really got to get the air conditioning in over here. Yes, it doesn't show on the trading view chart, but you always wonder when I see it on Yahoo Finance, like, why do I see little jumps like this, right? What's going on with that? And looking at the numbers, huge volume spike again, most volume we've had in a while, and May was the most volume for monthly on a monthly basis, the most volume we've seen since March 2021. So will we see another big month of volume? I mean, if it continues like this, I certainly think it's possible. But Berkshire A, right? Huge story in the market today. It starts the day trading, right? Make sure we got the 1 minute. Starts the day trading, normal, right? And Berkshire A has generally a low amount of volume, given that it's a giant company. You look at its market capitalization and share price. There's not a lot of shares trading, relative to the fact that share price is like 600,000 something, and that's why they have Berkshire B. So smaller people who want to invest in it can get in, and that was more so important before fractional shares. I'm not sure if you can buy fractional shares at Berkshire A, but besides the point, it's normal that out of nowhere, right, it just halts. And it doesn't even actually accurately reflect it here. It doesn't even show it at zero, right? It goes, see, yeah, right, from 1350 to 1535. So almost an hour and a half, right? And then we have this screenshot here showing, where is it? Showing that it was basically at zero for a short period. What the heck? Microsoft Store. Get the hell out of here. I don't want anything from the Microsoft Store. I want to only shop GameStop. Okay. Look at this. Absolutely crazy. Down 99.97%. I love the jokes. It's like, oh, this is the new battle for 180. But how does this happen, right? And I theorized this a while ago, and I'm not the only one to, so I'm not taking like sole credit or anything like that. But I don't know if you realize this, but and then also when it reopened, right, it jumps up and it touches like 755 and comes back down, and then it acts like nothing ever happened. But I put this little thread together. I don't know if you guys saw it today, but did you know that 90% plus of Berkshire A daily trading volume has been off exchange post January 2021? Prior to the GME sneeze, most of the volume was on exchange. I wish I had a better screenshot. This was taken on May 10th, 2022. And if you go to this website, it's, what is it? Chartexchange.com. If you go there yourself, you can see the numbers. However, it only shows you the past year and a half. So why I can't go back and get a better screenshot? So the L is the price, and obviously the price, that's the glitch factor, right? But look how much of it, the white right here, off exchange. Look how much of it off exchange. Almost all the volume, right? And this only goes back to December 2022. But since then, the volume's been all off exchange. But look at what happened here. Right? Again, sorry it's not the best screenshot, but look at this. This is from 2019, the very beginning of 2019 to about mid 2022. Look at how most of it was always, and if you look at blue, like looking at the other one, what the heck, right? If we look here, look at the blue is New York Stock Exchange, and then the other ones, other colors are all these other ones like CBOE, New York Stock Exchange, ARCA, MIAX, New York Stock Exchange National, but pretty much anything that's not off exchange, not in a dark pool, right? And you look at here, it's like, huh, look at where it flips, and suddenly such a large majority is off exchange. And then look at the 1 day right here where it does like a little dip. This was in March 2021 when it had that second little run up, right? And it's like that one particular day was exactly the day that GameStop like went up a huge amount and then dropped a huge amount in like a single day, where I think that was March, where it had the day where it went all the way up to like 300 something, went all the way back down to like 150, and then closed the day like right where it started or something insane like that. And look at this. Where do you see the white? Like, do you see the white standing out like couple spots like right here? And then all of a sudden, post January 2021, consistently off exchange, right? Bouncing between like 80 and 90%, mostly 90%. And then you look more recently, right? And you have the chart here because you can kind of put these together because this goes up to May 2022. So you're missing the second half of 2022 between these two images. But look at this. The end of May 2020, sorry, end of May 2022. The end of 2022 to present. Look how much of it off exchange. Nearly 100% of the volume, right? And lately it's been 98+% because then it breaks it down by day, and you can see it's pretty much been 98+% most of the days. A couple 97s in here, but very large majority of the volume. Here's another screenshot I have a little bit more zoomed in, and you can see exactly where it flips right here, right? Just post, like here's December. Oh my God, guys, what's wrong with me today? February 1st, so just shortly after the sneeze, you see this sudden flip, right? And that's also when suddenly the short interest wasn't as high as once reported. So I want to be clear too. As I see on the right side here, this is still speculation of not proven, but I believe Berkshire Hathaway is tied to GameStop through swaps in some shape or form. Again, that's just my personal belief. I could be wrong. But this is another screenshot from that time, and it just shows how consistent it was. And then I made a little YouTube video on it too, if you guys want to look, on May 10th, 2022. And I was a lot more, like, less experience, a lot more or less, oh my God, a lot less experience at that time. But I still look at it and I was like, this doesn't make sense. What the heck? If anyone has a better screenshot, please show. But Badass Trader added some extra context here. In his tweet, I realized, look how much more volume Berkshire has suddenly seen since February 2021. A steady increase, right? So what does it all mean? And is this the dumb war? Maybe. Like, you know, when Ryan Cohen tweeted out, I challenge Warren Buffett to a dumb war. Was this what he was referencing in some shape or form? I really think so. Honestly, again, and it's just what I think. I know it's a little bit of tinfoil. I don't like to go too tinfoil here, but is this not interesting to you guys or not odd? And also, Warren Buffett has publicly said previously, like, I would always have no problem loaning out my shares because if I'm loaning out the shares, we make money on it from the borrow rate, right? And if anyone wants to bet against us, so be it. But what if the shares are being loaned out for some kind of swap or some kind of collateral in some shape or form? Is that what's going on here? I don't know. I don't truly know, right? But this is odd too. Mods, don't delete, please. Berkshire 27 shares went through for 185 each. That's crazy. Last trades. How does that happen? So wait, so it's actually not a technical issue, but this reflects the asks and bids true price. Because I also had a friend say that to me today. He texted and he was like, it doesn't, like, based on the definition of what's going on, it doesn't actually seem like a technical issue or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I don't know. Again, literally just speculation here, but when you look at that, it's like crazy. Oh boy. Someone's yapping in the chat. We might have to kick up. Let's see. Sir, good stuff as always, my friend. Love your channel. Thank you very much. I bet UBS wishes they were out now. Michael, yeah, I would think anybody short probably wishes they're out. Thoughts and please are down. GME Wu-Tang tweet. No name, yeah, like again, I touched on it a little bit. I'm just very speculative, and there's been so much going on, so I haven't read fully on it, but I feel like until I see something from GameStop, I don't truly know. And then even if it is tied to GameStop in some way, I think that's exciting, but will it actually impact the price? I don't know. I don't know. I have to read more on it, honestly, before I truly, like, give a strong thesis on it. Shorts or fuck? Jose, thank you for being here. Your words, not mine. Did they just post? Jimmy and AMC, I consider a tale of two cities and watching a historical movie play out. C12, thank you so much for being here, but I gotta say, I think GME, not like AMC. Just gotta say it for the record. For Art and Plays tonight, Stony, you're not wrong. Thank you for being here. Why does anyone even care about AMC? Shy, thank you for being here. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Also, in my also humble opinion, every time GameStop moves, right, AMC gets forced to move with it. So all I'm saying is, if you were really short GameStop, right? What the heck is this? GameStop doesn't have this. Interesting. If you were really short GameStop, right? Put yourself in the shoes of a hedge fund. If you were very much short GameStop, wouldn't you want to force associate? And again, just speaking with my mind here of what I think. If I was short a stock very heavily, my thought, and I had influence in the financial media, why not create a category of meme stocks, right? This new category. Throw all these other names with it and associate them. Oh, they're all the same. They're all the same. And get people to start saying that. Start pushing this idea that it's this category of stocks. They're all the same. You know, oh, no fighting. So you can't disagree that they're not the same. Or you can't say that they're not the same. Or you're causing fighting, right? And it's like when you look at these companies that were force associated, whether it be AMC, Nokia, Bed Bath & Beyond, whatever the case, none of them, the OG one was GameStop that was shorted more than 100%. None of the other ones had that. And then beyond that, you look at the financials of these companies compared to GameStop. Yes, I know the bears are going to say their revenue's going down. That's not a great thing. I understand that, but they put themselves in a position now where they have a very strong balance sheet. So even if they're just breaking even for even another year or two, in theory, they're still in good financial standing. They don't have to just issue a million shares to stay alive like AMC. They don't have to issue a ton of debt. So if you were a shorting hedge fund, wouldn't you want to force associate GameStop and divide buying power amongst these other companies if GameStop was the true play that you were extremely short on? Again, just theorizing here, but that's how I see it. And then, there's the bots argument. It goes much deeper than that. But to me, it's really just also just like the GME. Oh, buy this GME on Solana meme coin. Like, what is that bullshit? Like, you have the actual GameStop. Why would you need to buy a crypto GME Solana token? Like, it just makes no sense. It's pump and dump. So to me, there's only one. And again, I'm a pure GME elitist, and that's just how I see it. You could disagree, but I think some shady things go on in the market, up and down, right? Right, in terms of like various other companies, even beyond the quote meme stocks. But I think the category of meme stocks would never have been a thing if GameStop wasn't as popular as it was. And the idea of meme stocks, oh yeah, let's just group them all together, right? That's how I would do it if I was on the other side of the trade. That is, I think, an excellent way to divert buying power and then force associated with these other names. Because then on top of it, you have other people on the outside looking in. Oh, maybe I'll look into GameStop. I don't know. Like it's a meme stock. Look at all these other companies associated. Like none of these companies are doing good. Their financials are terrible. I'm not even really going to look at GameStop, right? And they almost don't even give it a chance. But maybe that's my tinfoil hat talking. That's just how I see it, guys. That's just how I see it. But Bank of Montreal did the same thing. Stoney, you're absolutely right. I had that pulled up here. I took a quick screenshot when I was at work today. I'm like, hey, as you say, I had Teams messages like, shit, I'm trying to work, but there's too much craziness going on. I'm like, do any of you know the stock market is like broken right now? And like no one around me. Pepe's infected you. Pepe's blocked. Oh, wait, I have to do it on here. Where are you, Pepe's? And timeout. 24-hour timeout, buddy. Sorry, it's such a funny option. You could do that, but inside the hell, CEO willing to fuck shareholders. Exactly shy. The daily high after a glitch was 74K on Berkshire. You can't make this shit up. D, thank you for being here. Yeah, that is actually hilarious. You're right. I did notice that. Like, what are the chances of that? It's literally 741K is the high of the day. Like, what? 741. Why is that number everywhere? It's truly hilarious. Interesting. Thank you for being here. DFEN did the same thing, was down 99.97% all day. Crazy. Yeah, there's a couple other ones. You had DFEN, you had gold. I'm not sure if these are all Berkshire positions. I don't know about this one. New Scale Power Corporation, pretty much the same thing. And then just resumed, like, oh, nothing happened. And did your New York Stock Exchange ever say anything? Like, oh, we're looking into this. But I didn't see anything come out after that. Let's see, AMC is severely undervalued. Jose, I don't know about that, my friend. Oh my god, too many chats. It's hard to keep up. It's crazy. Oh boy, yes, I am a GME elitist. I see that. There's no way they don't reverse those trades, right? Yeah, Samurai. If there was any true trades that executed, I feel like they'll just reverse them and say, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, right? And also, yeah, looking at these trades that supposedly went through, I would think so. And then I saw one where it's like, you don't know what to believe on Twitter, right? You gotta take it with a grain of salt. But it was basically like someone made the trade and then sold, and then like the buy order went through at like 185 or whatever it is. Yeah, like 185 right here. And then the market reopened and they sold it at like 622,000. But it adjusted and they automatically made them buy it on margin at 633. So suddenly when it updated, their account was net down like negative 10,000 or something insane like that. And I'm like, oh my God, how's that allowed to happen? Read DD on Supersonic, take the red pill. I'm pretty sure they reversed the Berkshire trades already. It would be cool if someone had traded that though and went through and still there. It would be. It would be, D. You're not wrong. It would be dope to see if a regular person, because I saw people putting in like limit orders like, hey, worth a shot. Like, you know what? If it worked for you and you got to keep your money, that'd be freaking awesome, right? Well, Tetron, my 2 orders of Berkshire egg got canceled. Whiskey, thank you for being here. And hey, like I was just saying, worth a shot, right? Worth a shot. But AMC needs GME for any shot. GME doesn't need AMC. Fundamentals are not even close. Very true. It's popcorn. Just take popcorn talk to a popcorn stream. This is a GME guy. Hey, that's true. But listen, at the end of the day, you're going to do what you want. Everyone out there's got to make their own individual decisions. But I'm just saying, with AMC, look at it compared to GameStop on a long-term basis, right? It's unfortunate, right? It's Adam Aaron, I think, just cares about himself. And that's where you've seen a lot of the people that were talking about it for a long period of time just kind of get out of it. They're like, listen, we understand that this guy is just padding his own pockets. And for God's sakes, they bought a gold mine. Look at the 5-year period. Look at the 5-year chart. The green is GameStop. The regular charted out is AMC. It's because it got diluted so much. And it's also split adjusted now. Like, it's just been a catastrophe of what's going on there. And if it wasn't for tons of people buying into it, I think unfortunately AMC would be bankrupt. And to be clear, I don't want AMC to be bankrupt. I like movies. I think go to the movies is a good time. Like, I like taking my girlfriend to the movies, right? But the reality of it is AMC is not doing anything to improve their fundamentals. Like, look at what GameStop's done. They had to work hard to get to where they're at. They had to cut a lot of the top heavy stuff, right? Like a lot of the overhead costs, they had to cut those down. They had to operate a lot more nimbly. They had to close down a lot of unprofitable stores. They had to build up the online store more and try to drive more traffic there. And it's still an ongoing battle. There's still a lot of challenges with it, right? And I'll pull up my chart and you could see how this has changed over time. So I'm going to have to update these when the official earnings come out, but look at how SG&A has gone down. And we know from the preliminary results, right? SG&A is expected between 290 and 300 million. And last Q1 was at 345. And look at from 2022 to 2023, look at how much the SG&A went down. And then also as a percentage of revenue. The only unfortunate thing is, SG&A is roughly 33% of the revenue for the preliminary results, and that isn't ideal to see. Again, I get where the Bears are coming from. Like, oh, the revenue going down is not good, right? But with the strong balance sheet they have, the investment policy in place, they have options. And again, execution matters. Don't get me wrong. Like, they have to execute. If they don't execute in the long term, it won't work out well for them, right? Ultimately, they do have to execute, but they have time because look at the year over year, like just in the bottom line, and you can look quarter by quarter here. If you look at it, their revenue actually declined year over year from 2022 to 2023, about $700-ish million. Again, not good. I'm not trying to tout that and say it's a good thing, but look at the bottom line. Despite top line revenue falling 700 million, you would think the net income would get worse, right? No, there was a $320 million positive swing in the bottom line. It went from negative 313 million to positive 6.7. And now, with more cash in a high interest rate environment, yes, cash is getting inflated away, but at least for now, while they take time to make these decisions, they can earn high interest on cash equivalents, and marketable securities. And again, just want to be clear, like, they have to execute, right? And it's easier said than done, but they had the ability to. What can AMC do? Like, they're in such a tougher spot. I think they have about $2 billion worth of notes to be paid next year, like basically debt that they issued previously. And that's at a high rate. And like, look at what GameStop did initially when they issued shares. They issued shares, paid off all the high interest debt, pretty much fixed the balance sheet. And then I don't know how up to date Yahoo Finance is, but if you look at the current ratio, which is just total assets to total liabilities, look at AMC's 0.61. Then look at GME's. And this just gives you, obviously you have to look deeper and always look at the specific numbers, but it just gives you a general idea of a company's like financial health. GameStop 2.11. And this number's improved with time. And this number is not even up to date. And so yeah, that means this number is even lower than it should be because it doesn't even account for the extra 900 or so million that they raised. And with that, they could theoretically, right? This debt right here, you might say, oh, they still have debt. What do you mean? No, a very small portion of this, like I think only like 10, 15 million, is a loan from the French government, and they owe about a 1% interest rate on that for, the money they took out, like an extremely low interest rate. All this other debt, where it's recorded as debt because it's under liabilities, are the store leases that are being paid. So theoretically, they could pay off all the store leases and they'd still have a ton of cash, right? But obviously that's quarter by quarter, month by month, whatever the case is with that. And we see some of the numbers updated here. And this is where, Yahoo Finance in general, not just talking about GameStop, is good for an overview of the numbers, a quick look, but you always want to look at the company's actual filings for the specifics because you see the shares outstanding updated. insider and institutional percentages updated according to the shares outstanding updating, but the cash for the company did not update, right? Because obviously, being that they issued shares, they have much more cash, and we know that from their filing saying that the filing was done, or sorry, the share issuance was done. GM is to play. They have no debt. AMC does. GM has billions in cash. AMC doesn't. GME is a holding company now. AMC not exactly. My friend bought a GME today with the hype and then sold it, but it went back down. Doesn't understand the large pullbacks are expected and healthy. Will be a brutal fight till the dominoes fall soon. Groove, I have friends too that just play it in and out, and then I have some that have FOMO'd in at a higher price, and they're like, wow, as if almost like it would have been great if you knew someone who told you about it when it was at a much lower price. But then once the FOMO came in, you're like, oh shit, maybe this guy's right. So I wish them the best though, right? And that's the thing too. Everyone has their own flavor of tea in the market. That's what I've kind of been saying lately, right? Like there's all different cups of tea and different flavors. And there's traders, there's investors. Some people do both. Some people just let it ride. Like you got to know where you're at. That's such an important factor in everything, in my opinion. Like you got to know thyself. If you know you're a trader, you know you're going to get in and get out, that's fine. Do that. I wish you the best luck, but make sure you have a strategy and plan in place in whatever you're doing. But if you're an investor, you don't want to get caught up in short-term moves because you're just buying and holding, right? That's what investing is. To me, there's traders and investors. Like a bug by the light here. Sorry, it distracted me. But there's traders and investors, and some people are both, and that's all right. It's all about knowing thyself and like knowing what tea you want to sip. That's kind of the way I put it. But damn, 150 people here. Can't thank you guys enough. If you don't already, follow me on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days, at Touchdown Invest. I'm always posting updates on there covering GameStops. Oh my God, why can't I talk today, guys? GameStop and just various market events, economics, different things going on, a little bit of Bitcoin, but Solana Beam coins, what a scam, exactly. Oh my God, I can't even keep up with the chat. This is crazy. There's so much cooking with GME. You have to dig. Cost headsets, new Game Boy Retro controller, CandyCon connected to Nintendo Switch. All GME revenues with $3 billion in cash. It's set up perfect. Stody, yeah, no, $2 billion. But also, you got to think about the PSA cards. I actually got one that just came in. I'll show you guys. Justin Jefferson, only PSA 9, unfortunately, but still a great card. And I think he's a stud, and it was only $25. It just seemed like a steal. I think in the long term, it's going to do well. And I was thinking about maybe unboxing this stream. I got some like football cards also that I'll open. You can almost like see through it in the light, but also got a little bit of currency trading cards. These card smiths that I've been seeing everyone have. So maybe we'll unpack those towards the end of the stream here, but we'll have to see about that. Might save it for another day or. Yeah. Oh my God, guys. I wish I didn't have a long weekend. I feel so fucking tired right now. It's so annoying, but this always happens. I feel like GameStop runs and there's so much tension on it at the worst times for me. I'm like, no, like why couldn't this been like any other week, right? But that's all right. I'm gonna take what I can get. I appreciate you guys being here so much. Like, it's such a crazy time in the market. And drink water, and I'll make my next point. The reality of it is, though, if this is as deep as some people say, and as many people believe it could be, right? You know that scene in The Big Short where they say, just don't dance. Just don't fucking dance. Because every time the employment rate goes up, more people die from homelessness and hungerness and stuff like that, right? And it's true. If this does go so deep to the point where these institutions have leveraged everything against GameStop, we could see chaos in the general markets. Like that was an idea that was long theorized a while back, on Superstonk and just amongst many different individuals and just sharing what they think. That's like once the catalyst for GameStop going up would be the market crash, or GameStop going up would cause a market crash type of thing. And just remember, that means people get hurt. Their 401ks, IRAs, right? Retirement accounts, average people that have nothing to do with GameStop get screwed. And you got to think about it. What do you think the headlines are going to be? GameStop causes market-wide crash, screwing over average person's retirement accounts. Meanwhile, it would be the institutions that would be leveraging everything against GameStop. But who are they going to blame? I guarantee you they would blame the GameStop investors. And that's the right thing. You have to be humble and realize, like, okay, like, as much as I want the stock to go up a lot, and I don't know if it truly runs that deep, if it does, it's like, holy shit. And it's also like, you have to be humble about it and like sympathetic that it's like, wow, this is so freaking real if that's the case, right? And I think Kiyosabi Letter actually tweeted it today too, where it's like, how come every time games, and this is what I'm talking about, like bigger accounts starting to pick this up, how come every time GameStop starts to go up, there's all these weird moves, right? Let's see, where is it? And I really like this account, by the way. I feel like they always have pretty good takes on everything. Just do a good job of like covering everything. And this is still anyone that wasn't here before. We talked about this already, but it's crazy. E-Trade considering banning this guy, it's just nuts. It's actually just nuts. Oh, we don't like the trades you're doing, so you're not allowed to use our platform anymore. If they liquidate him, to me that is fucking market manipulation. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why I'm cursing so much today. Too fired up, but here we go. Why does the market always break when GME rises? January 28, 2021, brokers halt buy orders on GME after meme stock rally begins. May 14, 2024, GME and AMC halted a total of 38 times in one day as the rally accelerates. June 2nd, 2024, Robinhood suspends overnight trading in GME due to volatility, and that was last night. June 3rd, 2024, New York Stock Exchange sees multiple $100 billion stocks fall 99% due to a technical glitch. Is this a coincidence? I don't think so. I really don't. And again, I can't prove that to you for sure, but just the fact that this is happening, it's like, how is this allowed to happen where these institutions have the capability to leverage so much against one particular company? Because when you think about it, once there was more than 100% of shares existing shorted, how can you truly ever undo that? Because now there's more shares out there than there should be. How can you actually undo that? Even if theoretically, like, all the shorts closed, like, we would have seen massive buying volume, right? And then also I have literally the SEC report. You can read this for yourself, right? And it talks about these different things, or some of what went on, right? And how the SEC reviewed it and sees the situation, and obviously the whole hearing for Warren Kitty, but GME daily dollar volume and trade count 2020. So this is the trade count and dollar volume. So as you can see, tons of people getting involved in it until late 2020 into 2021. And this is the price for GameStop, daily dollar volume, but this is really it, right? Daily count of unique CAT accounts for trading GME by type, individual, institution, other. So as you can see at that time, it was a lot of individuals. But also keep in mind, this was a time where a lot of people had extra money. So people saying now, oh, this is retail moving the price. Do you really think retail has money like that right now versus 2021? It just doesn't make sense. And to me, I just really think it's institutions that are making these big moves lately. And also, having to do with the options chain. But so short interest in GameStop versus the market, non-financial common stocks, and obviously it's a very low percentage relative. But this was GameStop, at its peak, it was well over 100 right here. And then it comes right back down suddenly, right? But this is my favorite chart right here. Buying activity of traders with large short positions in GameStop, January 9th through February 5th, 2021. So the blue is total buying volume, right? The red is short seller buy volume, meaning buying to cover. How could it have been a short squeeze? And people that say, oh, shorts closed, they already bought the cover, right? How could it have been a short squeeze? And one, the price went down, they took away the buy button. Because theoretically, if they were covering the short when the buy button was taken away, the price should have still went up for a while because they're buying to cover. That's number one. And number two, short seller buy volume relative to the total volume was such a minuscule amount. And when you look at that, it's like, okay, well, how are shorts actually covering during this period? I think the truth is they weren't. And again, that's just my take here. But you can see, right, this is obviously the volume weighted price, like average price. And this is also, at its peak, right, when the buy button gets turned off right around here. Okay, if shorts closed, then how did the price go down? You see there's not a lot of short covering volume. And then the amount of short covering volume in the days that followed was very, very small relative to the total volume of the stock. And then short interest gets reported again, and it's like, oh, it's not that much anymore. What? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. It's actually crazy. And then also in this report, like when you read through the little details, it's basically saying that most of the volume that we saw was options chain hedging, right? Delta hedging, because as the price is going up, more call options get in the money. The market makers who are generally writing these calls naked, and they have the ability to do that, right? Because of their roles in making markets, right? Then they have to hedge by buying the shares, because if you think about it, when GameStop goes from 20 to 30, let's say there's a $25 call option, or even use like DFE's call option, for example, right? When GameStop went above 20 and it's been going higher and higher, they have to start hedging for the fact that if he exercises these, they're going to need to deliver 12 million shares, right? And obviously, there's people speculating that they won't even have the shares. Morgan Stanley, which now owns E-Trade, so E-Trade's part of Morgan Stanley. If Morgan Stanley doesn't have the shares, how are they going to deliver on it? They would have to go buy them in the open market. So theoretically, when you have an option like this, especially of this size, once the price starts going to 20, 22, 25, 26, the market maker should be going into the open market and acquiring shares to have them on hand in the event that this person, or obviously in this case it's for Kitty, but whoever it would be, is exercising their calls. So in January 2021, the price kept going up and up and up, and they kept writing more and more call options. And as more and more got in the money, they're okay. We have to go out in the market and buy more and more shares, because if this thing, right, it goes theoretically to like 500, we don't have to go buy. We don't want to buy them at that point. We want to buy them on the way up before it gets there. So if the person exercises, we already have the shares on hand to deliver. We don't have to go pay a ridiculous price point at this given time. So that was part of it, right? That was the delta buying from the market makers, or the delta hedging. And then on top of it, there was just massive retail interest. Like, I had people who I hadn't really talked to since high school, or maybe, distant friends I've kind of stayed in touch with. They knew I was like into stocks and whatever, texting me like, how do I buy GameStop fast tomorrow, like on the night of the 27th? So at that time I knew, I was like, this is crazy. And like every person and their grandmother was talking about it right at that time, and everyone was trying to buy in, and then suddenly the buy button just off. So at that time too, if you look at the Federal Reserve website, the savings rate was like 33% versus like 3% for the average American at that time. So people had a lot of excess money from stimulus, and a lot of people were home and just generally using social media even more. I mean, I don't know the specifics of the social media numbers, but it's just a very different situation at that time than it is now. So that's why I think it's funny that it's like, oh, well, he's driving retail traders to do this. Like, you really think like retail traders just all placed buy orders overnight and this sudden move happens? Like, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me, right? And that's the reality of GameStop as a whole in the long term. These past few years, a lot of things within this time frame, right? Post January sneeze, rally, whatever you want to call it, have not made a whole lot of sense. And as time goes on, I think more and more individuals, not just myself, like out there, are trying to make more and more sense of things and just understand and learn more about how market mechanics work, and just these little things such as like swaps, delta hedging, all these different things, how it all plays into it. And there's just more and more eyes on it, and more people curious. And the more they say, forget GameStop, that more, ironically enough, the more people become interested and follow the story as to what's going on. Because I have friends that are, kind of following the story. They're not necessarily in it, but they were following a little bit, because I would tell them, like, I'm telling you guys, this is truly something unique. I think you should keep an eye on it. Like, you don't have to invest, but keep an eye on it, right? I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't give financial advice. That's not the business I'm in. I just like to call it how I see it. But with that, I'm like, just keep an eye on it. And then it jumps, and they're like, holy fuck, yo, you were saying, like, it's not dead. I'm like, I told you can't forget GameStop. And there's just more and more people that don't forget GameStop. The more the media says, like, forget GameStop, right? And I have this post on my page. And for those of you that missed it before, look how much of the volume became off exchange post January 2021 for Berkshire. And let me know if you think that has something to do with today. And then look at the percentage of off exchange lately, because I only have this crappy old screenshot, and this is from chartexchange.com. You can go look for yourself, but they only have the past like year and a half or so of data. So this is the old screenshot I have. I took it on May 10th, 2022, and obviously it's not technically a screenshot. I took it on the computer, but it just shows the flip that took place. And then also, I think we wanted this extra context. Look how much volume Berkshire has had since February 2021. Up and up and up. Again, all just food for thought here. You can make your own decisions at the end of the day and make your own determinations as to what you think it is. But, whew, damn, so much going on out here in the chat. I'm trying to keep up, but 47 might as well be 47 because things going to rocket. Thanks for being here. Hit the like, everyone. Michael, appreciate that. Thank you very much. Big contract for Jefferson today. Yeah, very true. Jimmy, strong short term right now. Tatuve, yes, I think so. Donkey Kong.
They have to get the money from somewhere. It's true. It could be manipulation if they did anything to DFV position. Why don't they ask the market maker? Why don't they ask why the market maker took on so much risk by selling those calls? Seriously, F the noise. Exactly, Anthony, exactly. If they do truly liquidate his position, that is market manipulation. Because look at how large his position is. All he did was, I keep losing it. All he did was post it. But if you liquidate all these options and shares, obviously it's going to have a huge negative impact on the stock. So how is that not manipulation? Crazy. It's rigged for the little guy. Dirty Bird, thank you for being here. And I couldn't agree more. Any liquidity grabs? I also worry some powerful guy playing Roaring Kitty for revenge. Sabrina, I mean, I suppose it's possible, but you never truly know, right? You never truly know what's going on. But I don't know. It just seems like it just seems characteristic of him to still be in. I mean, yeah, just hit 31 and up 10%. Park, thanks for being here. Sorry to keep up today, guys. I just worry that they will early exercise since it's in the money, not for him because I think it's his intention. But how about others through that have in the money calls who don't plan to exercise? Bad presidents. Exactly. Yeah. I was talking about GME potentially going to the moon before the general public sees it. It always reminds me of that Ryan Gosling pitch scene in The Big Short. You smell that? What is that? I smell money. True, Groove. True. Similarly, it might just be a time bomb. It could be. ITM is in the money. I don't think it's all shorts either. Not only was the short interest over 100%, there were also 1.5 million calls in the money the week of January 28th. Crazy. And 1.5 million, that's 105 million shares worth, and that's crazy. At that time, there was less than 100 million shares outstanding because obviously now there's like 350, and that's partly because of the little bit of dilution they just recently did, but also the 4-for-1 stock split slash dividend. And I say split slash dividend because it was technically a stock dividend, but the price dividend in the sense for every one share you had, it went down and it became 25% of the value, and then you also got 3 more shares at that same price. So it's essentially a split, but it was in the form of a stock dividend. E-Trade is awfully worried about having to deliver shares to Kitty. It could be. People still continue to mock GameStop investors for being part of some movement which shouldn't be part of the stock market as it is devoid of any logic, yet they simply don't understand we like the stock, we like the leadership, we like the balance sheet, and it happens to be massively shorted. Why is GME any more speculative as the next stock? Movier, that's absolutely a great point. And if it is like any other company and it has any of the similar characteristics that you just mentioned, you're absolutely right. No one thinks twice about it. And also that, to me, that's very telling, where it's like, why do people feel so strongly and the media feels so strongly about you have to forget GameStop, right? You have to. Just forget it. Endless headlines, right? I wrote about it here. And look at these. Forget GameStop. 2 future stocks to buy instead. Forget GameStop at Sundial. These stocks can triple your money. Forget GameStop. Buy value instead. Forget GameStop. 2 super gaming stocks to buy instead. Forget GameStop stock. 2 Canadian growth stocks to double your money. Forget GameStop. The investment can make you rich with zero effort. Forget GameStop. April's best something in plain sight. Best stock in plain sight. Forget GME. One top Canadian stock to buy instead. What's all the Canadian stocks being pushed? That's weird. But my personal favorite. Forget GameStop. Here's how to make hay with U.S. farmland. That's a real one. Type in that headline on Google right now if you're curious, and you'll see that is a legit article written. Like, how is that written? Like, it's funny. It's actually truly comical, but don't worry. It's just a narrative they're trying to set. Liam Kane, thank you for being here. So other people don't invest or to convince people to sell. Just FUD. Yeah, no, exactly, Liam. And I truly think that's why there is this known category of meme stocks, right? And this is a monthly chart right now, by the way. Very interesting. And obviously, we're only 1 day into June, and this candle will change very much before the end of the month. I can guarantee you that. It's probably going to go up, down, left, right, circles. Fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy. I love that scene in Wolf of Wall Street. But having said all that, yeah, I truly believe that this category of meme stocks would never have been a thing if it wasn't for GameStop and there wasn't an ongoing interest by individuals in GameStop stock. I think the idea of meme stocks would have went away. But being that there is, I feel like they had to keep it. Oh, it's just a new category now, right? It's a new category, meme stocks. And I like to say, there's meme stocks and then there's GameStop because GameStop's not like the rest. I think it kind of started this whole thing, so to speak, and it'll end this whole thing, so to speak. So, just my opinion. I always forget GameStop. Me too, D. Me too. I always say that. I'm like, damn it. I forgot to forget GameStop again. How did that happen? You can use a time machine and go back to see the charts. Sorry, Wayback Machine. Oh, Dean Flanagan. Thank you for being here. That is a freaking great point. The thing is, I'm not very familiar with how to use that, but I got to figure it out. So I don't want to do it right now and bore you guys, but I know, yeah, I know everything lives on the internet forever, and that's a great point because isn't that the whole purpose of it to go back? Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I got to look at that. 32.15, kind of ripping right now. Oh, and like the overnight trading, some people such as like Fitzy, shout out to him. I'm sure you guys have seen him on X or Twitter or White Rabbit 741. Oh, don't want to get copyrighted. They post about it too. The fake hours, that's what they call it, like fake trading hours for GameStop. If that's what it's moving on right now, then crazy. Run GameStop, run. Crash Bandit, thank you for being here. Parker, thank you for being here. 33, damn. More glitches coming tomorrow, probably. I'm surprised there was GME moving up in after hours right now. I'm surprised there wasn't more halts. What do we only have like one halt today? I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure there's only one. Pretty crazy. What do I do when it goes up tomorrow? Not financial advice, but I need to get out. I have 50 shares out of debt. Trader Latch, thank you for being here. But listen, at the end of the day, you got to decide what's best for you. For me, I'm an investor. I've been in this a long time. I've been fortunate enough to dollar cost average in as the price was going down, and I feel about good where I'm at, so I don't have to FOMO in at this point. I'm just rocking and rolling with what I got. But having said that, you got to know thyself. If you're a trader, set a price you want to exit at, maybe do some technical analysis in some shape or form, but determine for yourself, like based on what you knowing yourself. Like if you can stomach the volatility, you want to be in this for the long term, I think great, hold the stock. If you just want to get out and then make the next trade, try and pick your exit strategy, right? And I'm not going to tell you how to do that because I'm not a financial advisor, right? As you said, no financial advice. But my best advice would be figure out what you want out of the stock and where your head's at, and then make the determination of what you want to do that's best for yourself. Do you think the earnings on June 11th will have any effect on GME? Is everyone following Kitty? Dean, I don't think it'll have a great impact because the preliminary earnings are already out, right? So here we have GameStop announces preliminary earnings. They released them with the share dilution ending, right? Which right here you see they announced a share offering in the pre-market of the 17th of May, and then the 24th, pretty much a week later, post-market, they announced it's completed. And the average price shares were sold for was $20.74, and it didn't really move the price much at all, despite them issuing shares. So I found that to be interesting. But on the news of the bad news, right, so to speak, of announcing dilution and issuing shares to raise capital, they also announced preliminary earnings because they saw, not as ideal as hoped, but we'll just release it now with the regular earnings, right? And with that, we saw what the numbers are going to be. We know what the net sales are going to be. They're going to be down from the year before, but we know SG&A is going to be lower. It's between 290 and 300 million compared to 345 million in the same quarter last year. Net loss is going to be between 27 million and 37 million, so between negative 27, negative 37, call it negative 32. Last quarter, or same quarter of last year, 2023 Q1, it was negative 50.5, so there's a little bit of a silver lining there where the net income did improve for the same quarter over quarter, year over year. But I don't think there's going to be anything of significance unless we get some kind of announcement that is not known yet to the public. Then maybe it moves earnings in some way, but you also have to think about that if they made some kind of move with the investment policy, right? Let's say, just for the sake of the example, they use the money raised, they go buy Apple stock, right? They buy $100 million of Apple stock. If they did that like a week ago, right? That would be Q2 because right now we're currently in Q2. So this is the Q1 report coming out. So they wouldn't necessarily have to disclose that in the Q1 report because this is something that would be happening in Q2. So that's just some food for thought there. So I don't think there's going to be too much. And I really don't, I really don't think it's just people blindly following Roaring Kitty. Like, I think there's people hopping in to trade and mess around with the stock since he's in it at this time. But I just don't think retail has the buying power, especially with how things are different from 2022. Sorry, 2022. Oh my gosh, 2021 versus now. At that time, a lot of people were just finding out about it, just hopping in, had a lot of excess savings. At this point, there's a lot of people like myself who didn't do any buying necessarily these past few weeks and just holding and just say, okay, I've been in this a long time. I've been dollar cost averaging. I'm just going to watch things play out over these next couple weeks. And then with that, the savings rate is lower. So there's just people with less excess capital. And again, individuals such as myself, I can't speak for everyone, but there's a lot of people who've gained more knowledge into how markets work and what's truly going on with GameStop and the company itself. So I just don't see how suddenly a bunch of retail buying power is causing these big dramatic moves, right? Like, especially when we look at this move back here. Like, yes, he tweeted right here, but do you really think retail investors moved the stock up this much, especially this one pre-market session? Do you think that many people were buying in that short period of time? You don't think any institutions had to do with that? And we were saying this a little bit before too. Isn't this like kind of funnily or eerily, whatever the word you want to insert there, descriptive word? How this is almost kind of similar to the January run up in 2021, and then what we saw in about February or March, where it started running again. So we'll see if it continues. I think, you know, overall, when you zoom out and look at the monthly chart, or this is the weekly chart, right? But you zoom out, you look at the monthly chart, it seems like we finally broke out of this downwards pattern, right? And if you've seen the Dorito of Doom, shout out user/badass trader. He's also on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it these days. It's the first time we've seen the stock break out of the triangle of doom or the Dorito of Doom, whatever you want to call it. And yes, it's been volatile and there's still a lot of time left in the month, but ever since this huge move, I feel like just something changed. And I don't think it's individual investors driving it. I think it's a lot of institutions. And part of it's calls, part of it's swaps. There's probably a lot of different factors in play. And I'm not going to say, there's no traders in it. It's not retail at all. But again, there's traders and investors, and there's just so many different things going on with the stock. Like, I don't think it's just simple like, oh, retail's all flooding it at once. That's all what this is, plain and simple, right? And that's just how I see it. But imagine pumping wealth down from Berkshire Class S and transferring it to GME, already rich as fuck, then Bitcoin, Citadel, etc. All of them. Zeto, thank you for being here. Yeah, listen, I mean, what they're doing exactly with Berkshire, I couldn't tell you, but it just seems all too coincidental to me that they were able to. And also, this is a live look. A source close to me sent me this image of the E-Trade board meeting today discussing distributing or winding down Roaring Kitty's account, getting rid of him on their platform, whatever you want to call it, right? This was a live look of the board meeting. A close source sent it to me. But this is really what stands out to me, the Berkshire thing today. Like, that is crazy. And like, also I tweeted out like, oh shit. Hey, wait a minute. Aren't there a lot of swaps that were expiring? Aren't there a lot of GameStop swaps expiring today? Could this have to do with the Berkshire glitch? And then also, you sold your GameStop shares during the last run up, right? Me. This is such a funny meme, like just like a little smile. It's so funny. But crazy. Breaking the stock market. And like after the drop to nearly zero or 185 down 99%, suddenly it's up 15%. I was able to grab a snapshot, but this is what stands out to me. This off-exchange volume that just started post-January 2021. And then also just seeing how much volume, right, which I tagged Badass Traders post, where how much volume increased for Berkshire A ever since February 2021. And I think that's what Ryan Cohen's tweet was. I challenged Warren Buffett to a thumb war. I think in some shape or form he's referencing like, hey, there's something weird going on here. And exactly what's being done, like whether it's swaps, leverage against another position, or however it's being like put out, right, or being done, I think it's something in some shape or form with the Berkshire shares. And maybe not, right? Maybe not. I'm all just straight speculation here, but damn, Dirty Bird, holy shit, $50. Thank you so much. Wow. I can't thank you enough. That is incredible. Thank you so much, my man. Like, appreciate that so much. I like that. Thank you very much, my friend. That is crazy. I'm just a regular guy, just calling it as I see it. But like I said, I'm trying to keep it real, and I feel like I'm not even having my best stream right now. Like, it's so hot in here. I don't know why. And then it's had such a long weekend, man. It's crazy. But really, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that so much. I really can't thank you enough. Imagine pumping wealth down, or thanks, bro. Yes, sir. Want to compare this to 2021? Fine. In 2021, institutions called us crazy conspiracy theorists. 2021, we're crazy, and now institutions are buying with us. Nectar Collector, thank you for being here. And I was saying before, isn't it funny how all of these accounts, right, that were saying, oh, people saying shorts didn't close, all conspiracy theorists, all these crazy ideas and thoughts, right? And then they say now, oh, well, obviously, like, Roaring Kitty's account was bought, right? Like, we were looking at Citron. I don't know if you guys saw what they put out, the nonsense they've been saying. What made Keith Gill, aka Kitty, interesting initially was his authenticity. He shared a detailed investment thesis and put his money where his mouth was, which was combined with a high short interest in a restless country, and boom, investing history. This time feels different. Now at GME, he posts with a large account and a significant near term option position, appearing more like manipulation without a solid thesis. Considering the stock is now 2,000% higher than his initial video almost 4 years ago, we believe someone is backing Gill. There's no way he made this size trade alone. His reported finances don't support this trade. Investors will see through this roaring Icarus. What the fuck? Like you know what I mean? Like these are the same people that were saying, "Oh, conspiracy theorists were saying shorts didn't close," but now they're the ones saying, "Oh, well, obviously he couldn't have did this by his own. He couldn't have done this on his own, right?" So it's truly comical how like the script is switched. And also, what's that like Finance a Lot or whatever that account is? He was saying, "Oh, I had this theory because of Roaring Kitty's birthday, and then this and that," and the GME meltdowners were saying, "Oh, well, his account was probably hacked." These are the same people that were saying, "Oh, well, obviously shorts closed already. Oh, you can't theorize against that." And then now they're coming up with all these crazy theories as to how, oh, things can't actually be going well, right? And damn, Dirty Bird, thank you so much, my friend. You are being way too kind to me right now. I really, really appreciate you so much. I don't know if I did deserve this, but thank you so much, my friend. Really. Thank you, thank you. I really can't thank you enough. There's a chance he exercises and does the whole FU to E trade and makes them go all the shares to DRS. Jeremy, I certainly think it's a possibility. I think it's definitely a maybe in terms of exercising. I mean, when we look at it right now, he wouldn't have enough cash on hand, so maybe he sells some of the calls and then uses that cash to exercise. And it would seem in line for him to do a DRS, but I don't know. I don't truly know, right? Like, I don't have any contact with him. Nobody truly knows what he's thinking. So it seems like that might be the play, though, right? Because one, we'll have to see, and it would be interesting if we got a YOLO update and then it was in computer share. I think that would be like absolutely nuts. But if his broker is threatening to get rid of him, if Morgan Stanley doesn't want him, right? Because Morgan Stanley owns E-Trade. You think Schwab's going to want him there or Fidelity? I mean, a wise broker, right, would pick him up. It would be good publicity for them to be the broker for Keith Gill. Or that's my opinion, at least. But if Morgan Stanley doesn't want him, you think any of the other large names want him? So that does start to make more and more sense. It's like, okay, so what's the best option for him to do? Directly register the shares in his name. And that would be a lot of shares to register. So if theoretically, right, DFV has entered the chat. If theoretically that happened, well, one can only wonder if that's going to make a significant impact on the price in some shape or form, because that's a lot of shares to directly register. That would impact the DRS numbers very much so. And also another point, there's some speculation that with the share issuance, will that impact the DRS numbers in any way? And by the way, if you have plan in DRS, and again, make your own decisions whether you want your shares in your broker, directly registered. I personally choose to directly register most of my shares. I want them in my name, and I understand what the DTC is. It's basically the representative is Seed & Co., and then technically every share is in the name of Seed & Co. if it's in the name of the DTC, right? Or it's the DTC's representative is Seed & Co. So when your shares are in a brokerage, it's in the name of Seed & Co. Basically, it's just an IOU, and it's for your benefit, right? Like for your benefit, it's like it would be something along the lines of like Seed & Co., FBO, Fidelity, Tetron, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It'd be like my broker, my name, and then my account number. But it's technically just in the name of Seed & Co. So then if I go from, like I say, from Fidelity to Schwab, I would go to Schwab, because generally when you're doing a transfer request, you go to the receiving firm. DRS is a little different because it's a non-ACAT transfer. There's something called the ACAT system, the Automated Clearing Accounts Transfer System. I believe that's what it is. But that is part of the NSCC, National Securities Clearing Corporation, which is an entity of DTC. So if I go to Schwab, I'm like, oh, I want to transfer my money. Basically, I would fill out Schwab's transfer form, and they go request the shares from Fidelity. Fidelity can quickly move them over to Schwab like that because they all have a DTC reference number. When you look at Charles Schwab's transfer form or Fidelity's transfer form, and you'll see they all have a DTC reference number. And that's how they're easily able to move the shares within the ACAT system. It's called an ACAT transfer because it's all just in the name of Seed & Co. It's all electronically recorded. So they just have to update it. Like, okay, now it's Seed & Co., FBO, Charles Schwab, Tetron, 67890. Right? And obviously I'm just giving like a very simple explanation of it, but That's how they're easily able to move it. Whereas when you go from like Fidelity to Computer Share, it's going out of the name Seed & Co, Fidelity, Tetron, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to just Tetron, completely out of Seed & Co. And that's a non-ACAT transfer because they're transferring it out. But Computer Share has an ACAT number, and you know why? Because the plan shares are part of the ACAT system, and it says like in times of high demand, they may transfer the shares back to the DTC if they're not true pure DRS. So just some food for thought there. But thank you, Michael. Thank you, Tetron. Go GME. Dirty Bird, my friend. You are all too kind. I really can't thank you enough. I really, really can't. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you showing the love. You guys are awesome. But yeah, crazy. Do I stream daily? Dean? Not daily, but I try to do like 2 or 3 a week. Usually mostly Monday, Wednesday. But mixing in like a Friday one here and there. Or like even when things were going crazy, the pre-market the other day. Where was it? Not the other day, but back here. I did a pre-market stream. When I woke up and saw this, I had people texting me like, Noah's losing his mind right now. I'm like, what do you mean? And I look at GameStop's up like 100% pre-market. I'm like, this is crazy. What the heck? So I had to fire up a quick stream that Tuesday morning. So just some random times like that, but mostly Monday and Wednesdays. I did more videos previously, but I have to get on doing that more. So definitely follow me on X because that's really where I post my updates. And like at the beginning of the week, like I'll post like what I'm going to stream. So that's where I posted this, like live stream schedule. Expecting many trading halts for GameStop today. Although I was wrong on that, right? We pretty much only had one, but we'll see what tomorrow brings, right? And I know you guys said in like Robinhood fake trading, as you could call it, right? The after hours, it's making moves already. So it would seem the price is going to keep going up tomorrow. But again, I don't give advice. I'm not here to tell you what's going to happen. I'm here to just document the journey, call it how I see it, and just explain as I go and just keep learning. I think that's so important, like to just keep learning because there's so much that can be learned from GameStop and just this saga as a whole. And forget GameStop, right? And a company that was once destined for bankruptcy has been able to shift to be net profitable, build a strong balance sheet. And beyond that, many individuals have learned a lot about investing as a whole and stock market mechanics through their journey of holding GameStop stock. I know that's definitely true for me, and I know I'm not the only one, right? And they say, oh, everyone's getting together online and just buying the stock. Oh my God. No, I think it's just like-minded individuals who just see a really unique story and a really unique opportunity with GameStop, and they talk about it. But if that happens in any other stock, it's fine. But it happens in GameStop, oh, so bad, right? And CNBC, people can go on there and, oh, do this, do that, and just basically shill their company or stock or whatever it is. And then politicians, right? I've said this before too, on the left and the right, can just trade tons of stocks on insider information. The ones making these decisions, right, get to trade on insider information. But Roaring Kitty posts his shares. Ooh, don't let Morgan Stanley be his custodian anymore. Crazy, but I don't know if that dono goes to GME. He just gave you millions with W Dirty Bird, big time W Dirty Bird, big dog W. No biggie, I'm up big, Dirty Bird. Hey, I'm so happy for you, man. Listen, and that's the thing too. I personally mostly just invest. I very, very rarely trade. I'll tell you guys a story actually. How I got involved in GameStop. I was trading, right? So at the time, pandemic, I'm not working. I'm still finishing college actually, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna trade around with some different things. I make a lot of money on Palantir this week right here, right? Like this week right here, I think it's like the week of the 19th of January 2021. Oh, I'm gonna plug in the side laptop real quick so I keep the chat going, but I'll get the story going. So pretty much, right, if you look at Palantir at that time, look at, let's see, 2021, right here, that week right before, right, you see this big green candle, these two big ones. Like I basically was buying calls, like tons of calls in this time frame, right, like short dated calls. And also like where I have the experience now, like I'm 23, about to be 24, and I'm by no means like ever trying to say like I'm an expert or like, oh, I have all this experience. But for someone my age, I have a lot of experience because my first stock trade, I was like 15 or 16, and I want to be perfectly clear. I didn't know what I was doing, but that was the best thing for me because I was able to make all the stupid mistakes at a young age before I had a significant like amount of money, before I really even had a paycheck. Like the money I was investing was just a little bit of like Christmas money I got, right? That I was like, okay, I'll throw a few $100 in this brokerage account and see what happens. Oh, I'll mess with this crypto stuff and buy these coins and this and that, right? And I tried everything you can imagine, like complex option strategies, crypto day trading, forex. Like I've tried it all, but from the time frame where I was like 15 to 20, and that's before I had like real money to invest. And I'm very fortunate that I made all my silly mistakes and poor decisions before I had significant capital, right? So by the time I'm trading in 2020, I'm okay. I have a lot of free time. I'm going to give this one more shot, but I'm just going to do options and stick to, public stocks, no penny stocks, anything like that. So I make a bunch on Palantir and I'm like, GameStop is trending crazy. And when we go back to this time, right? I'll show you. So I see this move right here and it goes up and then I'm like, I think it's, yes, no, it's this day, right? The 26th. No, the 27th. It was the 27th where I bought the call. I'll never forget it. I mean, I forgot the exact details, but I could go back and look. It was the 27th I bought it, right? And as you can see, the candle shows like the stock price opened at about, and this is split adjusted, right? 88, dropped down to 86 by the end of the day. So the top of the candle wick is the highest it was during the day. The bottom of the candle wick was the lowest it was. So GameStop had opened up, it rallied up, and then it came way down. Midday, it starts trading sideways. So volatility fell off a little, so IV dropped off on the options. And the price had already been way higher earlier in the day. And I was okay, you know what? I made so much on Palantir. My friend's telling me about GameStop. He's like, there's all over Reddit. Like, you should buy a call. I'm buying a call. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I buy the call somewhere in here towards the bottom. And then later in the day, it starts rallying. And basically, the call option goes from being worth 2 or 200 to by the end of the day, it's worth about 1,600. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, I'm having the best trades ever. Like, I'm a master trader. I'm never going to have to work again, right? I got to get out of this and get on to the next trade, right? Because that was my mentality at the time. I go to sell and I'm like, oh my God, I'm out of day trades on Robinhood. I'm out of day trades. I have to hold it overnight. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so stressful, right? And, oh, sorry, it was this day. It was the 26th. My apologies. It was the 26th because it was the day before the buy button was removed. It was the 26th, right? Because you can see this huge gap up. And you know why this huge gap up happened? Because the night of the 26th, Elon Musk tweeted GameStop. And I'll never forget, I watched the price after hours and I was like, oh my God, my option is so in the money. And then the next day, GameStop opened up here and like it moved all around. And I don't remember exactly where I sold it, but basically the move from here to here was so significant in terms of it was a weekly call option too, that basically a $200 option I sold for about 10,000. Absolutely crazy. But leading into that, before I made money on the Palantir one, and I sold that GameStop option for a huge amount. I lost a lot, not that much, right? Like definitely not that much combined, but through the previous years, like I definitely lost on gaining experience, right, and making poor decisions. So that was like such a big win. I'm like, oh my God. And then pretty much through here, like these next 6 months, I mess with options. A couple of them work out good, a couple of them don't work out good, pretty much about even in there. And then after the June run up, I go, that's it. I'm just going to start accumulating shares. And from June all the way until now, from here, right, I pretty much stopped doing options in any shape or form. Although on occasion I've sold a couple puts, which is a bullish position for GameStop if you're not aware. And pretty much all through here, I was buying shares. But that experience over here, just taught me so much. I'm like, oh my God, like that was so lucky. And then trying to play them again, seeing large swings, I'm okay, like that was such an insane play. I'm not going to try and just keep replicating that. I'm going to go more towards the investing side. And again, you got to know thyself. I was like, you know what? I'm getting ready to move away from trading and I want to go more on investing. And then people are like, how could you invest in GameStop? This is crazy. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, and also the whole way I'm reading Superstock, I'm reading what everyone else is putting out there before I really started making like a bunch of YouTube videos and stuff, right? I was keeping track of what's going on and just learning and thinking more for my own and just understanding things. And really since, post 2021, I would really consider myself an investor. Whereas pre 2021, so I guess you could say when 2022 started, at that point, I would say I'm an investor. Prior to 2022, 2015, 2016 to 2022, I would say I was a trader. And it worked out, net positive, but there's definitely a lot of losses in there to gain experience, if that makes sense. But that was my like initial entry to GameStop, and then I just kept following the story and realizing more and more, and I'm like, this is crazy. But hope I told that story right, or that story made sense. But it was truly crazy. It was truly crazy. Yeah. Very good streamer. Thank you so much, Dirty Bird. Thank you so much. Really can't thank you enough. But remember to like the stream, 420 box folk. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great info. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. But did anybody see the tweet from Eyes from Warren Buffett huddle? Robert, I don't think that was real, but such a compliment by Buffett. No, I don't think that was real, Robert. But if it was, that'd be crazy, right? I still don't believe Buffett did it. Billionaires should bury Wall Street. They've made trillions over decades, stealing retail and shorting companies. Yeah, Larry, it's true. I mean, when you look at what's happened and what was going to happen with GameStop, they had the board infiltrated. They were making poor decisions. I don't know if anyone knew this prior, but GameStop's board of directors used to have a private jet in 2019. Do they really need that when the company's capital efficiency was just right? Everything was going down and just getting worse for the company. But yeah, they needed a private jet for the board of directors, really. So it just kind of shows you the stuff that goes on. And I heard even for like Toys R Us, right? And like reading historical information, when the Wii was really popular, the board of directors for Toys R Us said, don't sell the Wii. It's a fad. And it was like the best selling product that year. And yes, it's not that. Then people argue too about like Blockbuster, like, oh, well, they were going to go bankrupt anyway. Look, everything went streaming. But the thing is, like, the demise of these companies, where this happens, right? Basically, the nutshell of it is private equity gets involved. They influence the company to make poor decisions. Then you get the mainstream media to write articles. Oh, this stock is bad. Oh, everything's going bad. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then when you have the board of directors excessively spending, not closing any unprofitable locations, excessively spending on overhead costs, excessively padding their pockets. And then meanwhile, hedge funds get to short the company down. And then what do you think they do on the other side? They short the company and they go long Amazon. Any of these companies that have gone bankrupt, whether it be Bed Bath & Beyond, Blockbuster, Toys R Us, what would have been GameStop, all of those going bankrupt benefit Amazon. So they just short these companies and they go long on Amazon. And then they profit on both sides of the trade. And that's just a nutshell of it. But if you look into the details, like you can see like the connections and it's like, oh, that's interesting. And canceled his clothing company. I'm sure you guys have seen him. He has a great summary of this. Like, I highly encourage you to watch this 10-minute video he has. It's pretty much just giving a summary as to why it's cameos by Blockbuster and Toys R Us. And again, maybe these companies would have went bankrupt anyway, right? Or they were on track, dude. Things were going like negative, turning for the worse. But had they not been spending excessively, maybe they would have had time and the cash on hand to turn things around in some shape or form or figure out a way to evolve the business. But when the demise is accelerated by poor decision making, then it's pretty much a done deal, right? And that's what was happening with GameStop. And then Ryan Cohen coming in, that's why he wiped out the previous board of directors. Like, they were all making poor decisions. They didn't care about benefiting the company, they cared about benefiting themselves. The new board of directors is all people he's known for a long time and he's been involved with Chewy. And then on top of it, they're all compensated in shares and like they have like skin in the game. So they thought like the people betting against the company is the same old song and dance, right? But no, Ryan Cohen comes in, wipes out the board, fixes the financials, gets rid of all the bad debt. And that's the thing too, right? With Bed Bath & Beyond, look what they did. It's unfortunate, right? Like, it's unfortunate. But when they had $1 billion in cash on hand, they had $5 billion in debt. What did they do with that cash? Pay down the debt in any way? No. They did a share buyback program. Look how that worked out. They spent all their cash, they had nothing left, and they were forced into bankruptcy. What if they instead said, okay, we're going to pay off our highest interest rate debt, we're going to close our most unprofitable stores, we're going to drive more business online, we're going to focus more on private label brands, maybe they would still be here today. And maybe it'd be the same kind of thing with Toys R Us, or Blockbuster would have been able to strike some kind of deal to do some form of streaming service or some kind of partnership with some streaming service in some shape or form. So you don't know, right? It would have played out differently potentially. But there's definitely cases where, companies go bankrupt. And yeah, man, guys, I'm ranting so much. But I really appreciate you guys being here so much. But Thank you, Robert, for the info. Trading options for 25 years. Key is don't get greedy. Dirty Bird, I appreciate that opinion. I really do appreciate that insight because, like I said, I've kind of moved out of options. I debate. I'm like, do I want to dabble in them here and there? Because even if I do buy an option now, right? Like, let's say I go buy a call option, it's going to be very small relative to like my portfolio and just assets as a whole, right? So like risk versus reward. But that's where I've kind of leaned into selling puts lately because one, it's a bullish position on GameStop, and I believe it's going to stay above. Like I sell puts like out of the money, and worst case scenario, I get to buy shares at an attractive price point. At best case scenario is I get to just keep selling more and more puts, and I could collect that premium. And then on top of it, if you do it in Fidelity, you get 5% APY, right? On the underlying money market fund, you can collect interest on that. So that's always good too. MC is to issue more shares. How's it the snake at Aaron can collect millions in salaries and bonuses? Exactly, Mike. Exactly. How else will he be able to collect those millions in salaries and bonuses? It's so true. It's so true because when you look at the financials, that's what's going on. Server calls where it's at. Very nice. Yeah, Dirty Bird. That's the thing too. I was thinking, maybe I'll put like, so I sell a put for GameStop consistently, right? In the event that it does get exercised, or I'm forced to actually acquire the shares at said price point, then turn around and start selling calls, right? And just basically run the wheel, like sell puts, sell calls, sell puts, sell calls. The only thing with that is if I sell calls in GameStop, like I know the nature of it. Like it could just make these like ginormous moves, right? Like imagine anyone selling calls right here. But that's where then the other side of me thinks like, okay, well, I already have my GameStop share position. I'm absolutely not going to sell covered calls on those in any shape or form. But if I'm doing it with, like a new set of money or a new portion or just like a specific account for that, then maybe it's not so bad. And I just kind of accept that there could be money left on the table in the event of like another chaotic move like this where you're selling a covered call, right? But if I'm doing it consistently, like ideally collecting the premium and underlying interest whenever I'm selling the put on the cash should add up to be a good amount. And that could be like my trader account, right? And I was saying before, like everyone's got to have their own cup of tea. Like I'm mostly an investor, but maybe I want to try a new flavor and have a little separate portfolio, right? Where I'm going to do that wheel consistently. Sell put, sell call, sell put, sell call, sell call, sell call, sell put, right? Like whatever the case. Because when you look at GameStop, I think it's if not the highest, like one of the highest in terms of IV. So you can just make so much on selling the options. And anyone that's been, selling options this whole time, I bet if they've been running the wheel, they've definitely collected a ton in premiums. So yeah, again, just learning as I go and documenting the whole way, guys, for real. Tevin color calls where it's at. When the house loses in the bets, they're going to change the rules of the game. That's what E-Trade's trying to do. Pretty much, Mike. Pretty much. Unfortunately, it is what's going on. I want to mess with options, but don't know what I'm doing. Extra Crispy, thanks for being here. And I see what you did with your name there when I said it out loud. Extra Crispy. Got it. Crispy. But my advice would be do a lot of learning and reading before you even touch them, right? Because I just dove into them when I was younger and just started like, okay, I'm gonna buy this option and do that. Like, oh, and then I was buying options without understanding what delta, theta is, right? Like theta is basically time decay, and they say like theta gang is like collecting, basically just taking advantage of time decay. Because like if a stock moves sideways, you make money on your option if you're the seller. So my advice would be, of course, I don't give financial advice, but my recommendation would be read and understand a lot about options and the terminology and like what theta is, what delta is, before you start actually trading them in any shape or form. And then by reading about it, you'll be able to get a better idea. Like, okay, is this something I want to do? Do I feel comfortable doing this? And again, it's all about knowing yourself. And with options, if you're buying options, right, you definitely have to be able to stomach a lot of volatility. There's no doubt about that. But yes, very smart. Thank you, Dirty Bird. Thank you. Yeah. So I think, again, it's just about figuring myself out over time too. And through this whole journey, right? Even, I said I had the whole initial like option play in here, and I was trading a lot of options, and then pretty much from here all the way down, just accumulating shares. But this whole way, right? Like I just learned more and understood more and more over time, and just continuing to evolve, right? Like call me a Pokemon because I'm evolving because I think that's how you have to be, whether it's in investing or your career or whatever it is that you're interested in, right? You have to always be on your toes, learning and evolving. Like the world moves fast. Ever since technology, the world's always moved fast, right? In terms of how things develop, but now more than ever. Like I always think back to like the fact that Google wasn't really around and the internet generally, right? 2000s was when it really blew up, and that's like when I was born, right? June 27, 2000. We're almost at my birthday. So, with that being said, think about how far technology's come just since 2000. Imagine where it's going to be in another 24 years from now. Like that's like mind-boggling for me to think about, like how far we've come. And technology's exponential, and the world's just getting faster and faster and faster. And there's just more and more you have to learn and understand over time. So like you got to keep learning. Like I think there's no such thing as like, oh, okay, I'm done learning. Like I've maxed out on everything. Like there's always something new to learn, and that goes way beyond stocks too. So, oh my God, guys, there's a fly keeps flying around this light is driving me nuts. I keep seeing out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, I'm trying to stream here. I'm trying to focus for this stupid fly flying all around. But yeah, and definitely, for anyone maybe newer to what's going on and just trying to get an idea, read this SEC report about what they report on what happened. The staff report on equity and options market structure conditions in early 2021. And this was from October 14th, 2021. From the SEC themselves, just reporting on what they believe. They call it like the GameStop report, I believe, of just saying what they thought was going on, or like just reporting on the data. And you could see in here too, like just some of the other strange things going on, such as like clearing requirements being waived. Like you're supposed to be like a certain amount of liquidity on hand, and that was like waived. And then also see balance of GME off exchange executions, ATS, non-ATS. And then see TRF refers to the trade reporting facility. So just, excuse me, a lot of good information in here and to learn. Count of a limit up, limit down pauses in GME late 2021. So these are halts. If you ever see lulled, that's limit up, limit down. And we've had a lot of those recently, right? With ever since past month. We had a ton of halts in this period, right? We've only had like one today, I think, at the market open. Let's see. Yeah, I think there's only one at the open, right? Because you can see it goes from 9:30, 9:31, and then goes straight to 9:36. And if you're wondering how halts are determined, it's a percentage based on like historical movement of the stock. So because GameStop had more volatility in this period for the first time in a very long time, the limit up, limit down, like, well, I don't know the exact percentages, was not as big as it is now, because now it basically factors in the last like 3 months, maybe 6 months or 1 year of trading to determine like the limit up and limit down. So what I'm saying is like, if it's another stock, it's not black and white that like every single stock, it's 5% limit up, 5% limit down. It's percentage based on the historical movement of the stock. So more volatility is kind of like expected to happen, so to speak. So that's why I think we didn't see as many halts today on dramatic moves. But then again, when you're looking at the moves, like besides this initial drop off in the morning, there wasn't any significant moves for GameStop. It was basically sideways. And that's all relative for GameStop. Like for any other stock, this would be like pretty significant volatility in this period here. But for GameStop, it really wasn't, to be honest with you, just historically speaking. So yeah, no halt in here. But in January 2021, they had a bunch of limit up halts and limit down. And then you can see the 28th. This was the day the buy button was removed, the infamous day. 13 halts on the downside, 6 on the upside, and it just shows like there's all this volatility, but nobody was allowed to buy the stock. So why was that happening, right? And I truly believe, and again, just one man's opinion, but I believe on the 28th that all that happened was the stock got shorted more, and just creative ways were found to suppress the short interest. Because I think they thought at that time, anyone betting against it, when I say they, I take that with a grain of salt. I use that very generally, right? But anyone, just when I say they, I just mean anyone betting against it. I think people betting against it in January 2021 thought, this is just such a bizarre thing. All these people are getting in it. They'll forget GameStop, right? Like all the headlines said, they'll forget GameStop and they'll move on to the next trade. These are just a bunch of traders. This is just such a truly unique event. This will never happen again. Surely they won't keep holding GameStop, right? Right? So we'll just short it more because it's bound to go bankrupt anyway, right? But then they issue shares, they pay off all the bad debt, they cut the costs to be operating efficiently, they close unprofitable stores, and they've put themselves at a point now, right, where again, they still have to execute to fully complete this turnaround, and it's been a long period of time. I get that some people have got fed up, like, oh, it's taking too long. But to fully complete this turnaround, they do need to get revenue back on track to growing. Because as we've seen, revenue's declining, and for the per the preliminary results, we know that GameStop's going to have less than $1 billion of revenue for the quarter, which again, not ideal. But it's about the net income for right now, because you can see the net income is between negative 27, negative 37 million, so roughly negative 32 million. So even though it's like the one silver lining or bright spot of this is, even though it's a significant fall off in revenue, the net income is a little bit better. And if they turn a net profit in Q2, Q3, Q4, they'll have a yearly total net profit greater than the previous year, and that might come with revenue down. And again, I understand the bears like, oh, well, revenue's declining, that's not good forever. Yes, but they're in a position now where they can make a move, but they don't have to rush, because they're pretty much breaking even or making a small net profit. So they don't have to rush to make a move like we have to do something now, or oh my God, we're going to die. No, they've cut their overhead costs, right? Like SG&A, also we know from the preliminary results, is going to be approximately 295 million. Same quarter of last year was 345 million. So if they continue to cut SG&A and just maintain the business profitable, right? And you can see the margins over here in a separate graphic. If they can just, even if revenue is declining still for another year or two, if they can just maintain net profitability, keep accumulating as much as they can on their cash, they can wait for the right opportunity to exercise the investment policy in either buying another stock, Bitcoin, gold, however they're going to go about it, right? Or making an acquisition of some kind and implementing it into the business. I also really want to see them do more private label brands. Those of you who are not familiar, they recently launched CandyCon, which is basically like you get like a base unit, and then you get like a faceplate, and then you could get like thumbsticks and the D-pad. So you can basically customize the remote. These are some pre-made ones they have, but you can basically customize the remote to your liking. And right now it's only for Switch and PC. Obviously, it'd be nice to see them do it with Xbox as well as PlayStation. And I thought I had, guess I didn't, but there's like a LinkedIn post that one of the GameStop like private label brand guys basically put out saying like there's going to be much more. So I don't know if that means, is there going to be much more in terms of CandyCon itself? I would really like to see them do more with CandyCon, maybe do some kind of partnerships, right? Like someone said previously, I think it was Scott, shout out to you if you're in the chat right now, that, maybe with these faceplates, they partner with teams, right? Like imagine New York Yankees like faceplate or Los Angeles Dodgers. And then basically they can kind of put like team logos and stuff like that and just more customability. And obviously they have to give like MLB or whatever sports league some kind of commission on that, but just like expanding CandyCon itself is what I'm trying to say. There's various ways they could do that. And then I would really like to see them do more like private label brands, because generally speaking, when you have an in-house brand, because this is GameStop's like in-house brand, then you have a bigger margin on the items. And that's why, again, generally speaking, when you go to a store, if this is like the Tetron Slinky, right? And I sell it to GameStop for $3 a piece. They turn around and sell it for $6 in the store, right? Just using simple numbers here. If they build an in-house brand, right? Like GameStop's or like Slinky's something, I don't know. Slinky's for gamers, right? It's their in-house brand. They could probably make, like I might make this for $2, sell it to GameStop for $3. Or let's say I make it for like $1, sell it to GameStop for $3. They turn around and sell it for $6. GameStop might also be able to make this for $1, but then since they're selling it direct, they can undercut me and they can sell it for $4 in their store, whereas mine is being sold for $6, and they make a $3 margin, or they would basically make the same margin in that scenario. I mean, it's not the best example, but the point is margins are more favorable when it's an in-house brand. So that's just food for thought there, and that's where I'd really love to see them like sell more in-house brands, and like Costco does a lot of that. Like the example I always use is like Kirkland t-shirts, or I have the Kirkland shirts. Like I was saying, am I wearing one now? Usually I wear a white t-shirt, but today had to rock the GameStop, right? But Kirkland is Costco's in-house brand, and a lot of companies that are retail companies, whether it be Walmart, Best Buy, like they have their own in-house brands. So I really would love to see GameStop do more with that idea of like basically like private label, in-house brands beyond CandyCon. But what exactly they do with it and how they go about it, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Again, just here to call it as I see it. $30 good price for GME. IP, that's up to you, man. At the end of the day, you got to make your own individual decisions and determine. I think the reality of it is we're in a spot right now where the price can go up $10 tomorrow or down $10. That's just the nature of the stock right now. We're in a very volatile period. For someone that's been in it a long time, for me, it's easy to say just buy and hold. But again, you got to know thyself. Are you a trader? Are you an investor? What's your time frame? But a wise man once said, as for me, I like the stock. Yeah, it's crazy. Always learning and adapting. Exactly, extra crispy. Exactly. You have to be. You really have to be in this world, right? Like, there's so much going on, but the hard part of it is too, with everything that's going on, like swipes, right? I could tell you as a young individual, seeing the younger generation and like even some people around my age, it's so alarming. People that are like, yeah, like you're talking to them and like they're like swiping at this. I'm like, hello, like we're talking. Like, why do you need to be on YouTube Shorts or TikTok? Like, it's crazy. The attention span, already people's attention span was bad, right? As the internet's evolved and like with YouTube videos, and now it's like it's crazy. Like with shorts, like shorts really to me is like the knockout punch for attention span for like young adults and young individuals. And it's alarming because it's like it's hard to focus. And I really for myself, like I try and like sometimes just put my phone down, get away from my computer, just go outside and like just touch some grass, breathe some fresh air, right? And just try and disconnect because also it just makes your mind race and go faster and faster. And it's hard to like take in the information when you're getting so much of it so fast, right? I hope that makes sense, but it's just crazy the way things are going. It really is crazy. And I just wonder in 10 years from now, especially with all this AI stuff coming out, like it's crazy what it's going to be like. But I just added, but it's a gamble. Volume helps. Don't sound what you can't afford to lose. Exactly. Exactly. Dirty Bird said it best. Never, ever invest or trade with more than you can afford to lose. You have to know thyself. It's so, so important to know thyself and know your budget, know your own finances and where you're at. Don't ever just blindly, I'm just going to throw this money in, right? You know thyself. But I think might drop at opening again since they have one day to cover. Extra crispy? It could. It certainly could. We've seen a lot of times recently after a big move on one particular day, right? Like look at last time. We saw even the first day, right? The Monday, saw a big move at the open and then a drop off. And then the next day, runs way up in pre-market and then drops off and never really recovers. And there's definitely a lot of people like FOMO buying in here, right? I know my one friend, he was bragging, he's like, oh, I bought it after hours Monday and I sold pre-market Tuesday. Like, I made so much. I'm like, good for you, bruh. Good for you. He's a big time trader. And this guy is so anti GameStop. He's like, I wouldn't touch GameStop with a 10-foot pole. But he buys and trades it whenever it's like trending again out of nowhere. And this guy is also the same guy that's mega long on Kava. He's like, Kava is such a great stock. Oh my God. I'm like, buddy, relax. And I'm like, why is GameStop bad? He's like, it's just bad. Obviously, they're going bankrupt. I'm like, I mean, he doesn't say that, but he's like, obviously, like, they're not going to do anything. What can they do? Like, it's just getting worse. And then he sends, like, he likes it. It's also my friend, right? So, like, you know how it goes with your friends. Like, your friends like to bust your balls. So he's like, just went to GameStop today. You know what I saw? Sends a picture of the store empty, but he went right when it opened, and I'm like, bro, you went on like a Tuesday midday when it first opened. Like, how many people do you expect to be there? He's like, oh, but Cava was crowded. I'm like, yeah, because it's lunchtime, and everyone gets food no matter what day of the week it is. But that's what friends do, man. They bust your balls, so it's all good. Spend and they become a hedge fund. Exactly. If it hits $20, I'll put my paycheck into it because I really like it. X1, thank you for being here. Hey, listen, if it's just one paycheck, you got a lot of money saved otherwise, I think that's all right, but generally, I wouldn't say like put your whole paycheck in, right? And again, it depends. What are your day-to-day costs? Like, what's your cost of living? How much do you have saved up, right? You get all kinds of circumstances to account for, but you do you, man. At the end of the day, gotta make your own decisions. I'm always gonna be a huge proponent of that. Hey, could you wish my son Max Pierce happy birthday? He loves your channel. Max Pierce, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a very happy birthday. My birthday is also in the month of June, so shout out to you, my friend. Max Pierce, happy birthday. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that. Tetra on live stream, woo, let's go, baby. Geronimo, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Sounds like Kramer. Happy birthday. Yes, sir. It's a reasonable investment. Yeah, no, listen, X1 or 1X, again, know thyself, my friend. Know thyself. And I think the potential for GameStop is limitless, with the investment policy. And I've said it multiple times throughout the stream, and I'll say it again. And as you can see, like, this isn't up to date here with the cash per share, but I'm trying to just, put it all together, because for a long time I was putting out information on GameStop and I just had it all over the place. Okay, I need to try and consolidate it. If you guys are curious, this is called Obsidian. It's pretty cool. You can pretty much put in links. Like, I have a live link here of like the share filing, right, when it was completed, and you can actually like go through and scroll. It connects to the website. You just got to post the link in. But yeah, this is great for just like sorting through all the information. And see, I got like GameStop financial statements. I got some predictions over here in terms of what I wanted to see with the margins going forward. And I'll adjust these as time go on. So also, that's why I put like a timestamp here. And then we got some other summaries here. But if you guys aren't aware also, and again, the one thing I wanted to clarify, execution. Execution is key. Like, they have to execute as a company. And it's going to be easier said than done. But that's where you have to fall back into your belief of the management team. If you believe in the management team to execute, then that's what it boils down to at the end of the day for the long term in GameStop, in my opinion. And anything underlying, right? I don't know why the zero's in here. I just noticed that. This is the way I've looked at it for a long time, especially when we were in this time period where the stock just continued to fall, right? Where I would say really the doom and gloom days were from probably like most of 2023, but really the late part of 2023 into early 2024. It's like, man, is this thing just gonna stair step down forever? Like, finally a little bit of momentum, back to business as usual. And then sure enough, right, big moves out of nowhere, and we're back, baby. We are so back. But during that period, right, it felt like, oh my god. And I think it's also a little bit of like psychological warfare. That's just my opinion, at least. But what I was saying all through this period, right, and pretty much what I've been saying for a long time now, where one, everyone has their own definition of what MOAS is. Mother of all short squeezes. To me, very, like, bluntly, it's high amount of demand for shares with a very limited supply available. So just high demand for shares to be purchased with a very limited supply available to be sold to those purchasers, right? And that just causes a dramatic price movement up. That's like my definition of it, but I think everyone's exact definition or specific definition, can be slightly different. But this whole way here, right, the whole way down, I just continue to think, and I didn't immediately have this opinion, right, but just from watching the stock a long time and looking at the different things and reading Superstock, reading stuff on X, reading the hate comments, everything, right? I'm like, whatever's underlying, whatever's suspicious activity going on underlying, so long as the company succeeds, it will bubble to the surface. If they execute and they succeed and they drive forwards, they find a way to get revenue back on track and subsequently rise net income with it, whether that's through like the investment policy and just greatening the amount of assets they have or raising the revenue with net income, whatever it is, right? Like, if they execute and succeed, whatever's underlying will bubble to the surface at some point or another. And then, lately, prior to this little second run up we've had here, right? I should zoom out when I talk about this. After this jump, and then in this time period, right, these past couple weeks, there's a lot of talk about the swaps expiring, and supposedly there's a lot of swaps that started expiring last week into this week. And that's where I go back to the Berkshire situation, right? Where you look at the off exchange volume and you have to wonder, like, why after January 2021 did suddenly so much of the Berkshire volume, right, the white is off exchange, become in the dark pools and off exchange every day. And then this is more up-to-date screenshot where it's just constantly mostly off exchange, like a huge majority, whereas previously it was a good combination of all the exchanges, with majority being New York Stock Exchange. And then you see this like dramatic reversal where went from seeing a lot of color all over the map to just a little bit towards the bottom, and that's because a very low percentage of trading was through these exchanges. It became all off exchange. And someone said it before, I'm going to have to do this. I have to figure out how to use the Wayback Machine, and you can go back and look at this data on chartexchange.com right here. And this is the most up-to-date, and you can see lately it's been 98, 99, 97% of all the volume. And then added context, increased volume since February 2021 per Badass Traders tweet. Great little extra piece of context there. So to me, I think that's swaps, and I think that's why Ryan Cohen said, I declare a thumb war with Warren Buffett. Like, I don't like to speculate too much on his tweets, but it would seem like that might be it, right? And there's a lot of talk about the swaps and what might be going on here, because do you really think that people or anyone betting against the company in early 2021 really thought that all these years later there'd be tons of individuals like myself that say, I just like the stock, I'm just going to keep buying and holding it, right? There's tons of people. That's what the media doesn't tell you too, that there's a lot of individual investors that through these last several years have just bought and hold, bought and hold, bought and hold, right? Dollar cost average. Stock goes up, I buy. Stock goes down, I buy. Stock moves sideways, I buy, right? And some more consistent than others. And again, everyone has their own budget and like how they want to go about things, right? But I think it's pretty clear that there's a lot of people who just accumulated shares post 2021, and the bears will say, and the haters like, oh yeah, it's just the baggies, they're bag holders just whining and still talking about GameStop and trying to pump their investments, whatever. I'm like, a bag holder is someone who just gets stuck holding a position from a long time ago. If you're constantly adding to it and averaging down, that's not a bag holder. That's what the media doesn't tell you. And of course, again, there's traders that have come and went from GameStop, right? They'll pop in here when it makes a big move. They'll pop in here. They'll pop in again here when we make the second move. And that's all right. But what the media doesn't tell you is there's a lot of people. And again, I can only truly speak for myself, but from just talking to people and reading what people are putting out over these past several years, there's a lot of people who've just continued to accumulate shares over this last few years span. And I think if you were betting against the company at this point back here, do you really think they thought that the company GameStop would be in the financial condition they are now, where they have a strong balance sheet? There's no near chance of bankruptcy unless something goes horribly wrong, and even for that, they would have to burn an immense amount of cash to even get close to that possibility of happening. And then on top of it, to have still such a loyal investor base, despite all the forget GameStop, forget GameStop, forget GameStop. And it's truly, I think, just absolutely unique, one of a kind journey what GameStop has going on with it. And I think this journey's far from over. And there's going to be a lot more volatility. There's going to be a lot more suspicious activity, a lot more ideas pushed by the mainstream media. And I think the best thing you can do is just be ready for everything and anything. But again, I'm just a guy on YouTube. Please take what anyone says out there, right? Whether it's myself or other individuals, take it with a grain of salt. Like, you should always do your research, look into things for yourself, make your own determinations. And something I had to really work on, right, is like, oh, I try FOMO, I got to get in, right? Or even like, not with just stocks, like even when I want to buy something, right? I'm like, oh, I want to buy it. I try and do the 24-hour rule where it's like, okay, I'm going to wait till the same time tomorrow. If I still want to buy this, I'm going to do it. If I don't, maybe some time has elapsed and maybe I was thinking more with my emotions at that time. I try and apply that to like stocks and just things I'm buying in terms of like spending money, because one, I don't want to spend as much money. I'm trying to accumulate as much as I can to invest as much as I can. And then two, with stocks, like, you want to think like, okay, do I really want to make this move, right? With GameStop right now, it's a little bit different because, day to day, we're like, if you get like daily candles, and I'm sorry guys, I'm totally burning out. I feel like I'm kind of going in circles here a little bit, but you have these dramatic moves, so it's harder to make that decision. But back here, right, when we had this period of time, I'm like, okay, am I ready to buy shares? Yes. Okay. Do I want to put $100 in? Do I want to buy like when they're $20 a piece back here? I'm like, okay, am I going to do it? Think about it the next day. I'm like, okay, yeah, $100 is a good number. But there's sometimes I thought about it. I'm like, okay, no, you know what? This week I'm only putting 80, and I want to save this extra 20, put a little more towards savings, right? I'm just using random numbers, right? But just know thyself. Take everything, every piece of speculation out there with GameStop with a grain of salt, because there's so many ideas being thrown around, and especially when it starts trending again, you have all these big accounts, right? And most of the ones I have here are good big accounts, but everyone has an opinion when something's trading, right? It's just like anything else in this world right now. Once something starts trending, suddenly everybody's an expert on it, right? As soon as like GameStop's trending, suddenly everyone's a stock market expert. As soon as a war breaks out, suddenly everyone's a political war expert. As soon as AI becomes a big thing. Suddenly, everyone's an artificial intelligence expert, right? That's just how the world works. People start talking about it with the internet, everyone's able to be loud and share an opinion. So you got to weed through it all and just really try and narrow it down and just focus. And I feel like I'm totally rambling at this point. Definitely burnt out, so we've got to wrap it up here in a couple minutes. But you guys have been so awesome being here tonight. And yeah, wow, what a busy weekend for me. And then what a time to be alive and be invested in GameStop stock. I truly love this journey. That's like my favorite part about all of this. Like, this has been such an epic journey of holding the stock. Like, I've met so many incredible people along the way. I've met people from Canada, I've met people from Europe, and I never thought I'd be connecting with people all around the world just through having a similar interest in stock, in a particular stock. And I've learned so much just about market mechanics and just things as a whole and how the world really works just from following one thing closely. And, you know, to be clear, no financial advice, but when you look at how a lot of people have gotten wealthy, right? It's usually when they get extremely wealthy, they do one thing right for a really long period of time, right? Like they go all in on one thing. And I'm not saying go all in on GameStop, or I'm necessarily going all in on GameStop, but just focusing my energy on one thing. I feel like one main thing has allowed me then to just get smarter about it and more understanding. And then beyond that, right? Like just get a better scope of how to view things, if that makes sense. But again, guys, I think I'm totally rambling here. Getting so burnt out. It's been a great stream. Gonna wrap it up, but let's hit the live chat one more time. Again, appreciate you guys so much. Can't thank you enough. Meow Meow Capital in the motherfucking house. Data plays. Meow Meow Capital. Let's go. Meow Meow, baby. Thank you for being here. Sorry I have to wrap it up now, but I really appreciate you popping in for sure. Do you think this will at least 2x if Kitty goes on YouTube? Extra crispy? To be honest with you, I don't think he's going to stream because look, he's even just tweeting an Uno reverse card and his position, and there's people calling, and his broker's threatening to basically liquidate his account and get rid of him as a client, and you have people calling like, oh, he's manipulating the market just from posting an Uno reverse card and his share position online. If he goes on YouTube, literally, I think anything he says, there'll be a case against him, like, oh, market manipulation. And then also think about it like this too. Sometimes the process is the punishment. Even if they start suing him, and when I say they, you know, whomever it would be, if Roaring Kitty starts getting sued, he has to spend a ton of money on defending himself in these lawsuits. Again, and even though they'd be bogus, most likely. But two, then his name gets dragged through the mud in the social media articles. Former meme hero Roaring Kitty now facing several lawsuits, right? Or those would be the headlines for months and months, like just dragging his name through the mud. Even though the case could go through, right, and he could ultimately be found innocent, it'll have been months and months of his name in newspaper headlines, right, or mainstream media headlines saying like, oh, he's being investigated. Oh, he's allegedly this, right? Like they just put it all over the place, right, just to shift the narrative and just drag his name through the mud. And that's what I mean by like the process would be the punishment. So I just think there's way too much risk for him to stream on YouTube. As much as I would love to hear what this guy has to say, I think it's just way too risky for him. Like he's gonna have to deal with lawsuits and just so much more BS. Like look how much BS he's gotten for just posting memes in his portfolio update. Just imagine like him streaming. It'd be freaking crazy. Like, and yeah, it's the unfortunate reality of the world. It's the unfortunate reality of what's going on. But what's up, Tetron? Hope you're well. It's easy to buy and hold. Carter's Corner Pocket. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you popping in. Exactly. That's why I say I'm mostly a holder or investor and not a trader, because it's much easier to hold, much less stressful. You just think about the long term, keep a long term viewpoint, and view. So you know I got to wrap it up, guys. Not even speaking English anymore, but a long term view. But when you're trading, you have to keep a short-term view. You have to account for unbalanced volume, MACD, the 1-minute chart, the 5-minute chart, the 10-minute chart, the social sentiment, right? There's so much that goes into trading. And again, that's fine. It's all about knowing thyself. It's truly all about knowing thyself. Jay, thank you for being here. Appreciate you popping in. Hedge funds and brokers are disgusting and shameless criminals, period. It's true, Jay. It's true. I think it's like a cost of doing business to them, right? When they make some kind of legal action. And then you know what happens? When they don't report things right as they're supposed to, they get fined like 0.0001% of the net income they bring in. And you know what it's like for them? Just a little slap on the wrist. Oh, Whoops, sorry, won't do it again. And then they do it again. Okay. Another little slap on the wrist. And it's nothing, right? And the same things will unfortunately continue to go on unless there's actually serious penalties brought out. Like imagine when you don't properly report something or you do something that's later found to be fraudulent or not accurate in terms of reporting, whatever the case, that the fine was based on percentage of net income for the company. I bet you things would change real fast and internal reviews and policy would become very, very strong, and you'd see a lot less of this BS go on if it was like in that shape or form. But it's not, and they just know how it goes. Unfortunately, that's just the way she goes. But to the moon, AY2, thank you for being here. Appreciate you popping in. It's been a minute, man. Hope you're doing well. Meow, LOL. Yeah, he probably has lawyers guiding him. So you really think it's him? That's not a rumor. It's not him. Yeah, Extra Crispy. Honestly, I really do think it's him. I do. I know, the people saying, oh, he's hacked or, oh, someone's posting his accounts. I don't think so. Because I think if that was the case, he would find a way to come out and say, hey, that's not me. Because then that's way more fraudulent in my eyes, right? And I know his brother's like on Instagram. I know some people follow him, but I think through like him or some other channel, or then at that point, he could go on CNBC and say, this is not me. Someone is impersonating me, right? And yeah, I don't know. I truly do think it's him. And I think maybe he's been trading throughout this whole time. Who knows? Maybe he was playing NVIDIA and he got some extra cash from that. I don't know. I truly don't know, right? But that's part of what makes this whole GameStop saga so fun is it's like an endless puzzle to solve. Like it's always another mystery, another door to open, right? And I love this journey. I'm meeting so many great people, and I'm learning so much along the way. It's epic, but it's him, yeah. CMB was salty this morning. Yes, I know. I saw Dirty Bird. I actually, I saw Fat Dad Dirk. Shout out to him. I'm sure you guys have seen him on X. He posted about it, and I quote retweeted it. And they're just like, I don't understand. He posts a picture of a guy leaning up in a chair, and now an Uno reverse card. Like it's just so funny trying to like exactly what I put here. Listening to mainstream media trying to report on GameStop is truly comical. Like they don't even know how to like explain it. Like they're just so bamboozled, like trying to report on it. And I truly just find that comical. But this is wild right now. Good night. This is wild right now. Nothing more bullish than now. How are you, Danzo? Very well, my friend. Thank you so much for popping in. You're right towards the end here, but yeah, I'm feeling good. I mean, I'm a little tired because I had a really long weekend, but that's all right. That's totally all right. And yeah, I do apologize if I was rambling the stream at all. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's also like I'm very self critical. I'm always trying to be better, and I'm always like, oh, I look back, I was doing this, I was doing that, I was repeating myself too much. But sometimes I try and just let it go and just keep rocking and rolling, right? Just keep the stream going, just keep saying what's on my mind, and just keep interacting with you guys in the chat. The chat's like such a good time. That's my favorite part of live streaming. I get to hear from people live, both the good and the bad. And I feel like I've come a long way with streaming. In the beginning, I was like, GME YOLO update. And now I'm like, all right, here we are looking at the chart. Let's pull up some other tweets here. And also, the quote that was always on my high school, it is so stupid at the time, right? I always thought it was so stupid. But in hindsight, it's actually a good quote. The quote that was always on my high school report cards was what was it? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And I realize that's true with streaming because when I don't have information prepped, like I have some like little notes here of things I want to touch on, and then throughout the day now, what I do for myself is I email myself like links of things I want to pull up. Like I see a good tweet, I'm like, oh, I want to touch on this. Like, oh, Dave Lauer is a good point here. I'm gonna send this tweet to myself, and then when I get home, I open up everything, right? And like same with like screenshots. Like I was screenshotting throughout the day, like these different companies that were down 99% at a certain point in time. Just crazy, especially the Berkshire one. And I'll wrap this up here in saying this: just don't dance. The scene of the Big Short, where it's like, just don't dance, because if this is as deep as I believe it may be, and a lot of other people have speculated on, that these market makers and hedge funds have leveraged everything against betting against a single company, it could get bad. That's all I'm saying. Like, and that's a scary thought. But the harsh reality of it is too, even though just me buying and holding GameStop, who's the media and the public going to blame if the market crashes because of GameStop, right? In theory, They're going to blame the retail investor. They're going to blame the average individual such as myself. All these people talking about GameStop. Oh my God, if they didn't like the stock, this wouldn't have happened. When it's like, maybe the institutions shouldn't leverage themselves up so much against one single position. And again, that's all just theory right there, but it's scary, right? It's scary to think that that actually could be happening, right? And I'll leave you to speculate on that and form your own opinion. I'm not saying it's this or it's that. Again, I'm just calling it how I see it and just sharing ideas I see out there. But if this was truly a result of GameStop today, it's actually alarming. It's actually scary as fuck, to be honest with you, because it's like the whole market is just numbers on a screen. It's really just numbers on a screen. And it's crazy. It's not my fault just investing in a stock I like, but on the other side of it, if they are truly throwing everything against it, right, leveraging everything against it, and again, all just food for thought here, strictly just giving you guys some good food to eat, some good food for thought, just sharing what I think throughout this whole journey. But yeah, damn. Yeah, it's great watching him doing good, man. You're in the fun zone. Exactly, Extra Crispy. Exactly, man. Exactly. This channel fucking rocks, man. Geronimo, thank you so much. You guys are so great. You guys are really so great. Like, all of you viewers are totally awesome. You know, even the people that come in and troll a little bit, I'm all right with it. But obviously, like you guys much better. I really do. You guys are awesome. Idiocentric infinite risk is their fault because they created many shorts, swaps, and over levered. That's on them. Exactly, Jay. I absolutely agree. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely agree. It's on them, but it's just scary to think that the capability is out there for that to happen, for that to go this deep, right? Like, for me, the best case scenario is it's heavily shorted, it squeezes immensely, the price goes up dramatically, but the average person's like retirement accounts and stock markets as a whole are not overly impacted, because I don't want to see the average person get hurt because of just poor decision making of people with great influence. So I think this journey's far from over. Journey's so far from over. We're going to see so much more craziness in these coming weeks, coming months, probably even coming years. And just be prepared for anything and everything, and take things with a grain of salt. Really try and look into them, double check, fact check, and just keep learning, guys. Keep learning. I can't say that enough. Like, learning is so important. And you know, some people think like, oh, I finished school, I finished college, I'm done learning. I'm gonna just work a job, right? And that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you got to keep learning. You got to, especially even if you want to just work a job now. Look at the way AI is changing everything, right? And I think, you know, AI, I always say this too, is the coolest but scariest thing at the same time. And you look at how that's evolving. That's going to evolve the workplace. So you're going to have to shift and gain understanding of artificial intelligence and how to use it in a particular career. I mean, not in every scenario, right? But in some cases. And that's another reason to keep learning. So yeah, I think you got to keep educating yourself. And that's the power of the internet too, where we live in a world now where my parents, when they were my age, they didn't have the ability to just learn about stocks and just read a bunch of different things and watch tons of different videos and just have all this information at your fingertips, right? So when you have all this information at your fingertips, like, you have to realize like what an advantage that is. And that's why, you know, some say it's the greatest time in human history to gain wealth. And I do believe that in a way, because, you know, while it's at the same time feels like harder than ever because of inflation and just rising asset prices, and the idea of buying a house one day just seems crazy to me as a young individual when you look at how expensive everything is and like wanting to start a family. But at the same time, I realize like I have more capability than anyone in any generation before me, because I have so much information at my fingertips. You just got to grind. You just got to hustle. And I'm going to keep doing that, and appreciate you guys following me on this journey. Subscribe, drop a like at Tetron Invest on X. Hopefully you keep following me on this journey and just see me continue to grow as an individual. And then alongside me, you guys can all grow in your own individual ways and just keep learning. But for real this time, I am going to wrap it up. Have you watched the movie Wall Street in the 80s with Charlie Sheen and Michael Douglas? Big Short margin call. I've seen Big Short. I haven't seen Margin Call or Wall Street, but I've heard those are good ones. So I'm gonna write them down. You know, maybe if I convince my girlfriend to watch them, because the thing is too, I'm not really a big movie guy. I'm more of a like YouTube guy and just kind of reading miscellaneous stuff. I don't know. Like, I don't really watch too many movies or shows, but like I mostly do with my girlfriend. But I would watch those obviously because they're stock market related, right? So I have interest. But it'd be perfect if I could convince her to watch it with me. So like when I'm just chilling, I'm like, oh, we're also just chilling, but doing a little learning, do a little side hustle here. But I had to mail a check to invest. Crazy, Dirty Bird. Yeah, it's crazy how times evolve. Like, and my grandpa worked on Wall Street. And all right, actually, almost about to wrap it up. But I talked to my grandpa yesterday, and we talked about this a long time back. But he actually worked on Wall Street straight out of high school. He was like one of the guys that would run back and forth, take the orders like to and from the trade desk, right? Or from like the calls coming in. Like he was like a stock boy, like literally running the orders back and forth. And he worked his way up and he retired. I think it was like 2006, so like right before like the '08 crash. And he's like, yeah, thank God. I would have never been able to keep up with all this technology now and how everything's evolved, right? Like that's kind of what he was saying to me yesterday. But he's a lot of experience and just explaining like him like hearing how he thinks about stocks, it just shows like how things evolved. And like he's a broker, I think he still calls up to make moves and you know, he mostly just has like dividend stocks. Like he's got like a ton of Pepsi stock that I think he said he got part of it was from his father. So he's just bought and held. Like he's just straight diamond hands like Pepsi stock, right? And if you look at Pepsi on a long-term basis and like the dividends, like he's done and he's retired, so he just lives off the dividends, right? Like he told me he's like I pretty much just buy and hold like dividend stocks and live off that and like look at Pepsi's all-time chart. And you know, if he got it inherited from his father, just think like, you know, you could do the math here. So yeah, I'm gonna try and do a sit down with him at some point. You know, that'll be pre-recorded, and then I'll do some editing. Shout out to my brother; he's really good at editing. So he said he'd help me out and like edit it and do kind of like a short interview. And like I don't think because he doesn't really follow the GameStop stuff. He's like, it sounds interesting and all, but he's like, I'm too old for this shit type of thing. But so like we wouldn't necessarily touch on GameStop specifically, but I think it would be a really interesting like piece of content I could put out, or I could make it into a few different pieces of content, do some shorts, and just kind of do like a long form like podcast format, just talking about his experiences on Wall Street and just maybe advice to young people and just things he's seen and how things have evolved and like what the day-to-day life was like. So I think I'll just call it like conversation with a Wall Street veteran or something like that. But Dirty Bird, you're incredibly kind, man. Really, thank you so much right now. Like you are an incredible person. Like I really can't thank you enough. Like thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Hope to see you at a future stream. You've been so good to me, my friend. For real. Like thank you so much. Like God bless you, my friend. For real. Like you're being so good to me right now. Thank you so much. But I know now I feel like I gotta stay. I gotta just keep streaming, yo. You're gonna make it so I never go to bed. Like oh my God, yeah. But Pepsi, on a long-term basis, it's been a great buy and hold. And there's something called a dividend aristocrat. Those of you that aren't familiar, dividend aristocrat is just basically a company that consistently for 25 plus years has like raised their dividend. So if you look up like Pepsi's dividend history, they pay 4 dividends in a year, and then the next year they raise it up a little bit more. They raise it up a little bit more, right? And then over time too, they've consistently bought back stock. And then how Pepsi's really expanded is, because they can't just make $1 million on Pepsi, they continue to acquire like other brands and just make it part of their business as a whole. And if you look at Pepsi, they own a ton of different brands, just like Coca-Cola. And then you also have like Keurig Dr. Pepper is another one. And Monster Beverage has really become like a bigger player over these past several years. I'm pretty sure they started acquiring other stuff too. And yeah, we'll see what GameStop acquires. We're investing and how it evolves. And the last thing, the last thing, we'll go to the Larry Chang tweet from the other day. And dude, I love this account. Side note, I love this account, Greg. This image looks like 4 different pictures because it is. Like he just tweets like the most random shit. Like I don't know, it's just funny. Larry Chang. Where is it? This was a weird question. I got asked a question earlier this week and I found it amusing. So here you go. If you had to pick one to be your spouse, who would it be? Your mom or an AI program?
I felt like AI because it's just weird to think about it like that, but at the same time, like AI is weird and not going to be compassionate. I don't know. It's a very interesting hypothetical question. I feel like I have friends that ask me the weirdest hypothetical questions. And I'm like, these things are. What kind of question is this? And I feel like I was reading like one of them tweeting during that. So, but this tweet very interesting. Do you remember when Berkshire Hathaway was a textiles company? American Express was an express mail business. Nokia was pulp mill. Samsung was a grocery trader. Marriott was a root beer stand. Instagram was a check-in app. I don't. Businesses evolve. Other examples, I said Netflix was originally a DVD company or DVD rental company. And it seems to hint that like maybe GameStop's going to evolve, right? And maybe GameStop will just be like what GameStop is now will be just a small part of the business in 10 years from now, right? Again, we'll have to see. It all comes down to execution. It's a fun journey and all, and there's so much underlying going on with like the stock and just the market mechanics. But for the company to succeed, they do have to execute. That's the bottom line. Like they gotta execute on a long-term basis. And when they do execute on a long-term basis, I truly believe whatever suspicious things going on underneath will bubble to the surface because they're driving forward and succeeding. So success is key. And I believe in the management team to drive them forwards and get them to where they need to be. And that's where I think in general, no matter whether it's GameStop or not, or any investment, you have to know thyself, or not know thyself, like know the business team, right? Like know the executives, know the board members and how they think, right? You have to take the time to learn about them because they're ultimately the ones that make the decisions for the business day to day and how it executes. And I really believe in GameStop's board. And that's where, you know, this hasn't been talked about in a while, but don't forget, because there's been so much going on these last few weeks, the GameStop annual shareholder meeting's coming up. Make sure you vote if you haven't already. Every vote matters, and there's proposal 4, which is pretty much to add a new board member for the sake of diversity and inclusion. And in my personal opinion, that's complete bogus. I don't think it has anything to do with diversity and inclusion. I think it's so that some bad actors or people who want influence in the stock can have a board member on there trying to drive decisions from within, right? Why do you think Ryan Cohen got rid of the entire previous board of directors? Because there's people making poor decisions. So I don't want some other random board member put in just because we need to check a box for diversity and inclusion. I truly believe in general with that. Like it should be the best for the job. We should hire, when I say we, the company, right? Because I'm shareholders, I guess technically we, right? Should hire based on who's most suitable. Never discriminate in any shape or form. Like if it's a human being, just strictly look at their qualifications, their skills, and their mindset. It has nothing to do with their race, gender, or anything like that. Just strictly look at them as a human being and their qualifications and skills. So I feel like that's just like a sneaky way for some bad actor or a multitude of bad actors to get a board member, just a seat on the board to try and like, drive decisions from within. But even in the worst case scenario that happens, I feel like, okay, well, then that's one of like 6 board members. If, things go for vote or things become for a whole discussion, then, the other 5 should be able to outweigh it, right? But then that individual is at the board meetings, they get the information, maybe all of a sudden information starts leaking for GameStop, right? Again, just speculating here, but Dirty Bird is the man, for real the man. Thank you so much. I really can't thank you enough. 120 by the end of the week or not? Ramsey, I'll be honest, I don't think so. I think that's a little too optimistic. Of course, anything's possible with GameStop. Anything's possible with GameStop, but I don't think so. Also Subway switched to Pepsi recently. Damn, really? I didn't even realize that, but DB the man, for real. Hope I can sleep tonight. Wake up at 4 a.m. is mandatory. Dirty Bird, yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night yesterday, and I saw the stock, and I'm like, oh my god. And then I was like, just scrolling, and I was like, oh, I gotta go back to sleep. I was like, all right, I'll throw out a couple tweets real quick. And then I was like, should I just stay up at this point? I was like, no, all right, I'm gonna get a little sleep. Went back to sleep for like another couple hours because like, all right, I know my job's been so freaking busy lately. So yeah, work all day team, no sleep. Let's go, Jay. No, that's the way to go, man. Honestly, and when I start sleeping more, I swear I almost feel worse. Like obviously there's like a fine line. When I don't sleep at all, I don't feel good. But if I sleep too much, like people say, "Oh, you got to get more sleep." Like they know me, like, "Oh, you like never sleep. It's not good for your health, whatever." I'm like, but I feel like I know myself. Like I need sleep, obviously. Like nobody can just not sleep, but I feel like I do better off of less sleep, right? Where if I have too much sleep, I just feel more like sluggish, and I just really don't like that. But well, I'm 61 retired. Oh well, Dirty Bird, I'm so happy for you, man. That's great. I look forward to retirement, but I got a long way before I get to that, my friend. But really, thank you so much, Dirty Bird. Like you've been so good to me. I hope the Falcons, is that a Falcons logo? I hope the Falcons have an amazing year for you now. Kirk Cousins going to go off 17-0, meet my Steelers in the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson versus Kirk Cousins. Let's see it, my friend. Let's go. Roaring Kitty will be one of the board members. Bad Vern, thank you for being here. I don't know about that, but people speculated on that in the past. Like I always thought that'd be kind of cool, right? It would be kind of full circle. I don't know if there'd be any kind of like implications with that. They'd be trying some BS lawsuit, like, oh, you can't do that, right? But I don't see how that would be the case. But yeah, maybe that'll happen one day, right? Picked up 358 shares in the last 6 days. More money clears tomorrow. I'll be ready for another dip. Whiskey, hey, gotta stick to your plan, man. Know thyself, and wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for being here. All right, for the 1 gazillionth time, we are wrapping it up. The stream is officially ending. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm gonna be live again Wednesday night, 7:30 Eastern. If anything changes, keep an eye on my X. I always post the updates there. But definitely gonna be live this Wednesday night. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, maybe if tomorrow's so crazy, maybe I'll have to squeeze in another stream. But the thing is, too, on Wednesday, I'm supposed to take an exam for my job. And I'm ready, but I'm not as ready as I should be because it's so hard to study. Like basically an exam where it's like a certification thing. It's like a certified like IRA specialist basically, or service professional. But yeah, so like I really want to dedicate tomorrow to studying. But if tomorrow is crazy, I'm gonna just have to stream again. But I definitely will stream Wednesday. Probably not tomorrow because I really should study. So Wednesday night, 7:30 Eastern. See you back there. But try and go live often more, bud. You're doing great. Thank you so much, Whiskey. Thank you. I really just keep trying to strive to improve, and I was doing pretty good with this. Where I was trying to like watch my streams back on like 1.5 speed, to try and go through quick, but just listen like as I'm like doing other stuff to try and like, okay, I could have did this better. Okay, I circled around a little too much here, but thank you. I really appreciate that, my friend. Squeeze your OJ is good luck. I like it, Dirty Bird. I like it. I'm gonna make myself some fresh OJ this weekend for some good luck. But okay, we are officially ending now. We'll see what tomorrow brings. More glitches, more halts. I do not know. I'm just documenting the journey. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.